Welcome back to another episode of the Outcast Hunting Podcast. I'm joined today by two members of Lost 40, Mr. Mason Turner and Parker Grooms. How are you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Excited to have you on. I see a lot of killing happening on Facebook when I follow you guys online. So the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about was what are y'all's how did you grow up hunting? How were you introduced to the outdoors? We're just going to get started right into the good questions. Parker, you can go first.
I started hunting when I was about 5 years old. I remember my dad, he hadn't hunted for probably 12 years, said he stopped, said that he just had a lot of responsibilities with having a youngin' kind of later in life, and he just stopped hunting. And he said when he had a son that he was just really brought him out to want to raise me up that way because that's how he was raised up. And I remember a funny story right off the bat. I was in kindergarten, and we had got in a hunting club up off 106 towards Brantley, and all we had was an Eagle Talon little sports car, little coupe hatchback thing that my dad was into at the time, I reckon. And he had bought us a crossbow. I remember he checked me out of school one day, still in his shawl uniform. We go up there. I don't think I've ever seen a deer in my life at this point. I just knew that we was going hunting.
How old were you?
It was kindergarten, so
okay,
6 years old. Yeah. Showed up there with a crossbow, and I remember four does walked out, and I knew I was hooked at first sight, just the way that my heart started beating. I had never been hunting before, but I seen him, and he was fired up, and I was fired up. I was like, okay, he said, go ahead and shoot it, and I just remember swacking this doe with a crossbow at maybe 15 steps right in front of me. And this thing bled 6 foot tall. I mean, all across the food plot. We found it probably 15 yards. And the funny part of the story is, after we had found the deer, we remembered that we was on the hatchback car. So where are you gonna put it?
Keep going. Where did you put it?
Where do you put it? So thankfully, shout out to Glad, we had some black garbage bags that we laid down in the back, and I remember stuffing the deer in the trunk of the car.
Glad. I thought this was your daddy's buddy or
something. Yeah. He come in with a truck. No,
we call Glad this big old guy coming up there.
So who is Glad? That's your friend? No, it's a garbage bag.
That is the garbage bag.
Was it the scented ones or?
It was the unscented ones, thankfully. But I remember riding home that night with the deer just bleeding all get out in the trunk, thinking, man, this is cool.
That's fun. That's funny. So kindergarten, you can still remember that very well.
Kindergarten. I remember Miss Powell, Strawn Elementary School. I remember going in there and telling her, like, this is the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Right.
And you've been all for it ever since.
Yeah. Some of the other kids in class, what? You did it? Hey, it was normal to me from there on out. And back then, that was when there really wasn't no limit of how many deer you could kill. I remember me and my dad, 7, 8 years old, killing 10, 11 does, just, up at the hunting club for fun. Well, not really for fun, but just, getting to spend that time out together and everything. And I can really say that's brought me to where I am now, having a mentor, at an early age.
So does he still hunt with you?
He does still hunt with me, yes. We have some crazy stories from this year that I'll get into later, but
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So just a question, when you were hunting, was it more like a hobby-driven thing? Or were y'all actually out there putting meat in the freezer?
We were putting meat in the freezer. It was one of those, Friday and Saturday and Sunday rolled around, 7 o'clock in the morning. Hey, we'll go right up to the hunt club today. Even, go right around, shoot guns, look for deer, put feed out, and it just kind of turned into an all year long thing, and that's just kind of carried over with me. And
that really kind of resonates with me, your story, because it's pretty much the same exact thing with me and Dawson, my little boy. I deer hunted a little bit growing up, or I deer hunted with my dad, but we just weren't serious hunting all the time with it, and I enjoyed it. But whenever my little boy was born, I was the same way. I wanted him to grow up in the outdoors. I wanted him to love
Absolutely.
it. And that's why I've gotten into it really hard past several years.
Especially in today's time.
Yes.
There's a lot worse things that they could be doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they could be playing Call of Duty like Talon.
Shout out Talon.
Speaking of that, Talon's not here tonight.
Yeah.
He had to work.
Make it.
Yeah, he had some things going on that he just couldn't pull
He's
away from.
He's flying out to Texas to the Orioles baseball game, so he had to work late tonight to get some things ready to go out to Texas, fly out Friday. So he wasn't able to make it. But to go back to your story, that's kind of how me and my dad started too. And we talked about that not too long ago on a podcast about we had my dad on actually, and I was about 7 when I killed my first deer. It was a 3-point, and it's mounted. Yep. And that's where I caught the bug for deer hunting, and ever since, I mean, there wasn't any safe when I was younger. You know, now I'm a little more selective on what I kill, but back then nothing was safe if it walked. You know. Yeah. But I think that's good for a child, and like Taylor said, you know, him and Dawson. Getting out, letting him shoot some does, let him shoot a buck, let him do whatever, you know. Just let him shoot, let him have a good time in the outdoors, and then that bug will hit, hopefully, and he'll carry on the tradition, you know. But, yeah, that's how I got started too.
So what about you, Mason? How did you come up?
So Zane, actually, who was just recently on a podcast, his mom and stepdad were really big into hunting when I was younger, and, like, I'm talking about, like, 4 and 5, 6. And I'd always seen them killing deer and stuff, you know, and I'd always wanted to go. Well, I've been with my dad, but I wasn't old enough to really shoot yet or anything. And then, so I finally talked my aunt into letting me go, and she checked me out of school, just like Parker said. And we went, and I shot. There was two does came out, and I shot one, and the other one stood there, so I shot it too. So I killed 2 deer my first time really like behind the gun, and you know, I can't say that just like started it for me, but really later on is when I really got into it. But so I killed those 2 with 7mm 08. I remember the gun to this day.
You probably remember the kick too.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. 7mm 08 was as bad as like a 7mm mag or something, you know. But then I started going more and more on the weekends with them, and they were into dog hunting a lot. So I started going dog hunting. I remember killing my first one dog hunting. I thought that really was like when I was younger. That was my fire thing, then. You know? I was fired up about that too. And my first time standing by myself, I can remember that too. I shot one, and I shot him real far back, and I'm talking about like just blew everything out of it right there, and it ran, and we never found it, but I remember that. And then what really got me was when I was about 13, I think, maybe 14, behind my grandparents' house. They live literally a mile. Like, you turn on the Strong School Road, then a mile that way. They have a field, and behind it's another field with chicken houses in it. And the old man that owned the chicken house at the time, well, he let me hunt back there. So I drove my 4-wheeler all the way back there, parked it under the shooting house. First, like probably
no scent control.
Probably the second time I'd hunted like actually like just sitting by myself. I wasn't fixing to walk in the dark. I mean, I was scared of the dark. To this day, sometimes I'm walking in the dark. I'm like,
I think we all have that.
Yeah.
So I parked it. I mean, there was at least bushes around the bottom of the shooting house, so I just parked it right under it, walked up the ladder. Well, I'm sitting there, and a deer comes out like probably 100 yards to my left, and he's coming to the right. And I didn't know it was. I mean, it was pretty, to me, and I still got it. It's a pretty good 8-point, okay? And I didn't know it was that big. I hadn't looked at it to the scope or nothing. It's a little dark. So I'm sitting there taking pictures of it with my little phone, you know. I'm like hyped up. I'm like, look at this deer. Well, I looked through the scope, and I'm like, God. So I shoot it, and when I shot it, it started running. And the other deer I'd shot just dropped. They didn't run. So I was like, oh, I missed it.
Yeah.
So about the time it gets to the wood line, I shoot him again in the butt. Like
that'll do it
parallel, and he fell right there, and
inside the booty.
That was he's a good deer. I mean, he's a good 8-point. Had a small drop time, like just starting drop time.
Really,
and that was the first good buck I ever killed. And then the next day, I went behind where I live now before we built the house there, killed another 8-point. It was pretty good, 2 days in a row, and then the next Friday, killed another 8-point in the same spot. I killed 3 8-points
that year.
I killed 3 8-points in 2 weeks. I was fired up, and I've been hunting ever since.
Some people just
now I know where Zane's coming from.
I mean, hey.
So you haven't heard this yet because that Zane's episode hasn't dropped yet as we record this today. But one of the things that he said about you was that Zane could fall into a barrel of Boone and Crockett's and come out with a spike. And you could fall into a bucket of spikes and come out with a Boone and Crockett.
I will say,
It kind of
especially
reminded me a lot of
relates to
Jantzen
this
flowers
year.
here.
That relates to like this year's hunting season too, especially like the lease I was on over there. Compared, one other guy killed. Well, I guess you could say two good bucks, but I mean there really wasn't like quality deer out there. But somehow I managed to kill a monster. Just happened.
It seems like some people just have awesome luck, and I don't want to say luck and like take away from any preparation you did.
Sometimes it comes back to luck. I mean, you can go one day and you do everything right,
Absolutely.
and then not see anything, and you go the next day and you're in your
Be
work
playing
clothes.
Candy Crush on the phone.
You pee off the side of the shooting stand.
That's right.
You get in there,
That's
and then
right.
here he comes.
Yep.
Swat mosquitoes away.
Yep, just as pretty as you please, he comes out.
I just really
You've done
think-
everything wrong.
I just really think there has to be something that the deer are able to pick up on that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, there's some kind of deer technology that we're not keened in on.
Well, one
I
of the
can
things
think
that
of
I've
twice
seen recently, and I think why I say this is like I don't know if there's any truth to it at all, but have y'all seen the ads for those Hex suits?
You gonna buy one?
No, I'm not going to buy one. No.
You talk about the dude crawling up on like the turkey or whatever. He like crawled up 6 yards.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
Whatever
That's a
it's
little far-fetched.
blocking.
And look,
it's
I'm
not
not-
getting
See you
off that-
move.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it works. I'm not saying there's anything to that. But what if there is something like that? Because I think we all agree that there's some people that are just really lucky. They can make it happen. I don't know if it's your diet and the way you smell, something like that. If you eat a lot of garlic, maybe they just know
I
you're in
promise
the
you
woods.
it ain't the clothes you wear, because my deer before, I mean, I killed in probably Walmart camouflage, blue jeans and a camo hoodie.
Hasn't
And
been
then
washed
the
in
deer
3
I killed
weeks.
this year, I probably had $2,000 worth of clothes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$50, $2,000.
That's right.
I mean, I promise you that didn't make a difference while I
We
was
used
wearing.
to we used to get out of school and we'd throw coveralls on, like oversized coveralls on
Yeah.
over our school clothes and go. Never no scent block, no nothing. You know.
Hey, we have a tradition of always mentioning Sequan or Lee Ellis on the episodes. So I'm going to go ahead. But he's another one that I'm thinking about. That dude just makes it happen. Now, he has all year to hunt and get ready.
Yeah.
But
he also, I mean, that kind of permission, you know what I mean? Like, he's got like
And
the
that
city
kind of
write-offs
dedication.
to hunt, like those
Right.
city limit properties, and they're not messed with
And
either.
the,
You know what I mean?
and the thing
He's just
about
going in
that
there.
is they can ride them streets and see them big bucks at night
At night, yeah.
in people's yard.
And they're like, well, that's where
That
it'll be
are
tomorrow
unfazed.
morning. It'll be
Right.
within a mile of
That's
here.
right.
So-
Well,
look, when I
know
say-
the houses down
Yeah.
the street. I'm gonna ask you.
And when I say this, I'm not taking away from the work that they do or the, you know, how good they are as hunters. But the other thing too is, in those cities like that, you're hunting those SMZs that are undeveloped mostly. So if you lose a buck, there's only a number of ways that he can go.
north and south usually.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
right. You know,
it's just creeks, and then there's probably an acre of trees in between another set of houses. So I mean,
Right.
that's
And
another thing to do with like where they're going. Like,
Yeah.
it's
And I
little
could
bit
say I
easier.
really love my deer hunting, but to go in there with knowing a crack junkie is in there, around where I'm
Yeah.
planning on hunting, that takes a little dedication in itself there too.
That's
That,
right.
Yeah.
Finding
So,
needles
did
as
you
you
see
walk
that?
in.
Yeah.
It's like,
You see that episode where he's like in the stand videoing
Yeah.
the guy shooting
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
has to run them off.
yeah, absolutely.
So last year there was a buck. Now he was not a monster by no means. He was just a normal buck, and I got summer pictures of him, and I lost him. Well, there was only so many places he could go because, anyway, went to north of it. Yeah, north of where I originally got the summer pictures, and he just followed an SMZ. And when I got permission on this property, I walked and there was an opening. As I walked into the opening, I see 2 deer stand up from a creek. They're laying in the creek, and it's 2 bucks, and he's one of them. I thought, oh my gosh. But the reason I thought about that is I dealt with 2 trail cameras getting stolen. By the end of the year, 2 of them had gotten stolen. And
Got a cable and thing.
They'll do it.
yeah,
Yep,
They just
Okay,
can't help
well,
themselves.
yeah.
absolutely.
You got to put a fake one up, real one above.
If I can make $20
That's what I
on
did.
Facebook
That's what I did.
That's what he did. Yeah.
Still didn't catch him. Still didn't catch him.
Taylor, well, if I can go ahead, Taylor, he don't know a whole lot about Arkansas right now, but I know you've been to Arkansas.
Yes, I have.
I go to Louisiana a lot. I haven't really
Okay.
been to Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, when you go to Arkansas and you get into the Delta,
Yes.
it's mile-long rice fields, and then you got a head of woods
Yes.
that runs through that mile that separates your property or the landowner's property from
Absolutely.
the other landowner.
Yeah.
And I've been out duck hunting before and just seen monsters run across the field chasing does. Early season.
Creeks.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think, and me and Taylor's going to try it this year, hopefully, if we can get off.
We are. Don't say hopefully.
Yeah,
now.
well, we're going to try
Don't
it.
start backing out.
I'm in a duck club, or my family's in the duck club up there. Been in there for a while, and I can't help but think, though, it's kind of like Lee Ellis and them hunting the big cities. You know, that deer, matter of fact, I know it for a fact. We were out there in Arkansas one day, and there was 2 baseball players, young boys, come up. We were at the co-op for whatever reason. We were getting something for the hunting club, and 2 young boys pulled up on a pickup truck, and in the back of that truck, I guarantee they were 160 to 170 class deer. Monsters.
Multiple?
Yeah, it was 2 monsters in the back of that. Man, so anyways, of course, we go outside. There's, 5 or 6 people around the truck, and mostly old men asking them boys, where'd y'all get them? All that stuff, just any questions, general questions. And so we walked out, and we saw them bucks. I said, dang, Dad, them things that's some monsters, which we knew they were out there. Well, we go up, and we start talking to them. We hear them guys say where they killed them at, and it was one of the guys had a granddaddy that owned property. He was a big farmer out there. And them boys got done with baseball practice one day. They went out there from the road. They went out there and saw them in the green field out there in one of them big fields, mile-long rice fields that they had planted. They had planted rye in. Mm-hmm. And after baseball practice, they had went out there, and from the road, they saw them 2 bucks standing out there with, I can't remember how many does. They said the field was just full of deer. And the next morning, they didn't have practice, didn't have school. The next morning, they said they went out there, and they sat in lawn chairs and backed the truck down the levee and sat on the levee.
The real spot and stalk.
Yeah, and what they said is there's just a head of woods between this rice field and this rice field. He's like, we knew they was in that head of woods.
Absolutely.
So at some point, they're going to come out. So that's what they did. They sat there that morning, and about mid-morning, both of them come out, and one of them shot and just happened to have that other one run across the field instead of back into the woods. So it gave that other guy, his buddy that was with him, gave him time to get the rifle and him shoot 3 or 4 times and knock the other one down. They killed 2 monsters. But I told Taylor, I said, man, out there with the mile-long rice fields, they got to be in that head of woods.
Yeah,
if you
there's
find
only
the
so far they
sign,
can
he's
go.
going to be there.
Absolutely.
I think that's why that bed hunting that people do in the Midwest
like
works so
fields.
well, because
Yeah.
that's the
There's
limited resource there.
Yep. That's where they bed at, wide
Right.
open. You
That's
get on
right.
the
If
hill,
you can
see
find
them.
trees in a wide open spot with water,
Yes.
And there's
you're gonna
tracks and
find deer.
sign there.
Yeah.
They're going to be there. They have to be.
There's nowhere. Yeah.
because
So-
when you can see 4 miles across the field and you don't see any deer out there, well, there's no
That-
sense. There's no deer out there. I
That's
mean, it's
right.
kind of self-explanatory.
Exactly. So I'm hoping, I don't know this for a fact, and I'm not, like Taylor said, I'm not cutting anybody from any of them states that they don't know what they're doing, or their hunting is harder than ours.
Yes.
Or easier than ours, which I do think we have it pretty tough down here.
Oh,
We do have it tough.
Oh, yeah.
But when we go up there to the hunting club,
People
them
get
guys,
so offended, too, when you say that.
mean,
They
compared to
do.
other
But
states.
They don't
They do.
understand, though. I mean,
Well,
they never hunted a pine thicket
that's
before.
exactly right. That's right.
They never
I
rode
just
through
think there's a reason why the hunting public come down here and they didn't have a
and
kill.
they turn right back around.
Yeah.
They go somewhere else.
And look, those guys are killers.
Just
They
like
are, yeah.
just like turkeys too. Like,
As a matter of fact, there's
That's right.
they
there's a
couldn't scratch
video.
nothing off here.
There's a video where they talk about your expectations. So, like, what are your goals and expectations? And in that video, he says, if we're in Iowa, he tells the size of buck. I can't remember what he says. That they're after, and anything smaller, they're not going to shoot. But now, if we're in Alabama, if we see a sighting,
oh yeah,
we're gonna and that's the way he said it. Like, if we see a deer, we're going to be happy.
Right.
you see a
And-
120, you're putting 4 shots in him.
Yeah,
Down here.
100%.
120.
Up there, 120. There,
I'm shooting a 120 anywhere. I'm not letting him walk. All right. I gotta be the high fence, not shooting 120.
That's how I'm going to be if we go to Arkansas.
I'm just going to
I
tell
ain't
you,
paying a lot of money
especially
not
with
to
a bow.
That's right.
If I'm not in a high fence and a 120-inch deer walks past me, probably any of y'all too. You know how hard it's not going to be to.
Oh, yeah, to draw
yeah.
back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm
Yes.
not near as selective as this guy is.
I do.
will.
Once I draw back is when I have my second thoughts.
Yeah.
I've drew back on deer and let down, but
I don't have my second thoughts till I hear it running off.
yeah.
So too late at that
Yeah,
point.
Yeah.
I'll let down on one before I just go.
You either pray you missed it or
Yeah.
Speaking of letting
pray it's a
down,
little bit bigger.
speaking of letting down on one, since you brought this skull here, I want to hear the story on this dude.
So really and
Don't
truly,
leave out any details now.
Okay, yeah. So that deer, the year before, I'd had a picture and he looked just like that. And when I got the picture, I was like, that's an old deer. Well, I never seen him.
Can I ask what the habitat's like? Is this
okay? So my house is in the middle of two fields, and one field meets the road, and the other field goes back, and then I got probably another 30 acres surrounding that field of old, grown-up clear cut, like real thick stuff. Like if you shoot a deer and it runs in there,
pretty much.
Yeah, you don't want to go in there.
Yeah.
All right. But and then in between these two fields, I have that natural growth with a pond and a creek runs all the way around our property. But our property is surrounded by a hunting club, and they don't spare no chance. They don't cull nothing.
They gonna shoot.
Yeah, if it's got horns, it's getting shot.
If it's got horns, it's going to the barn.
Which is which is real impressive because the deer we have that we get on camera every year, like I had 3 deer this year that were
studs,
some hammers
studs.
to be where I'm at.
Yeah,
absolutely. Some giants like.
Mm-hmm.
He was the
they
smaller
probably come
one.
over there to feel safe.
I mean, if he had his other side, he would be a real wide deer. He'd be a nice deer. But so I got that picture. Never seen him. Never got another picture. And I got it. I never put out any of my good cameras at my house. I just had them at the lease. You know, I never really hunted at the house much. And well, this year I had a bunch of cell cameras. I put up more at the house. Well, I got a picture of him. I didn't get a picture of him till about the time I killed the bigger deer that I killed this year. And so I get that picture, and Micah's looking at him, and he hunts behind the house every day. That's just where he don't go nowhere else hunting hardly, just behind the house. Every single day he goes back there in that shooting house nearby it during deer season. That he's not got something going on, he's hunting back there. Well, when he seen it, he was like, I'm going to kill that deer. And, you know, I already killed a big one. I was like, yeah, that's going to be your deer. And I was like, well, we got to name him something, you know. Like, what we going to name him? He's jacked up, you know. We can. And so we just come up with scissors. And we didn't know he was one-eyed at the time. But you could tell, like, all the trail cam pictures I got of him. And
so that was
videos.
A recent thing, him blind in that one eye or missing the eye?
I'm not sure. I couldn't tell in any of the pictures that he was blind.
Gotcha.
But I'll get to him. Well, I think he may have gotten ran over. But so we never got any daytime pictures of him. And Micah started hunting. So we had those two fields, and then a mile up the road we have another field. And Parker's hunted in it with me before, and we had big ones on camera there all year. Just they would daylight right at dark one day.
Daylight, and 20 minutes after.
And Micah started hunting. Yeah, Micah started hunting it hard. So he gave that up for a little bit. Well, I went to the mountains, and while I was in the mountains, I got more pictures of him at night, and he was getting like on schedule, kind of, every night. And I was like, well, dang, you know, he's not gonna come out in the daytime probably before season ends. Well, I get back home, and we get a daytime picture in the other field of one of the big bucks. So Micah's like, I'm going over there tomorrow, you know. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just hunt around the house. I'll go back here and just maybe watch some does or something. Well, it's like 4 o'clock, you know, like it's early. And he comes out like in a very back corner just walking straight to me. And I'm like, I didn't look at him with my binoculars or nothing, and I could tell it was a buck, you know, decent buck. And I looked at him, and I texted Micah, and I said Scissors is out here. So I texted him. He was like, no way, you're lying. That's what he said. And we got terrible service at my house, by the way.
Absolutely.
So like I'm just trying to like get something to go through, and I really didn't want to shoot him, and I was like, he's out here, like, and he's like, no, he's not. Send me a video. So I was trying to Snapchat him pictures and videos of the deer
in the moment, and
it's just sending. That's all it's saying. It's not going through. Well, finally it sends, and he's got no way, bro. That's what he says. And I'm like, I was like, I'll let him walk. He's like, no, we may never see him again.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, all right. So I had my 30-06 at the time. I never really used that gun, but that's just what I grabbed. And I put it on him. He's broadside. I shoot him. And like I said, I never used that gun. So he starts running across cotton field, and I'm like, golly, I missed. Because every deer I'd shot that year, like the couple of does and that buck I'd shot with a rifle, just dropped. So he's running, and I'm like, dang, did I hit him? So I throw it on him again, and I just rolled him right there in the cotton. And it's a cotton field. And our farmer's not very, our farmer now, we swap farmers because our farmer then wasn't really taking care of what he should have been taking care of. So it was still stalks. But I disc one side down. So, I mean, the deer loved it because, they had cover still from, like, the house and everything.
First dirt.
And I disc it down, and he ran into the cotton stalks, and that's where I rolled him at. Well, when I get down, he was bigger than I thought he was. I mean, I didn't think he was as big as – I mean, he ain't big, but he wouldn't – I thought he was nothing.
The character behind it.
Yeah. And I realized he had one eye. Micah got down. He could hear me shoot twice. He's like, no way you missed. Like, he was texting me like I missed. But, yeah, that deer, I didn't have as much really, like, I would say character to it. But the day before I shot him, he ran across a road in front of somebody that lives right up the road from me. And she looked at the picture. It's Aubrey's aunt. She looked at the picture, and she was like, I seen that deer. And I was like, what? She's like, I almost ran it over right in front of your house. And that's how I knew that he probably had gotten ran over or something. That's why he was messed up. Mm-hmm. But, and another thing, like I said, I'll be forgetting when I tell the story, but the day before, like 2 miles up the road, I think, or something, somebody had him on camera in the daytime.
Oh, yeah.
2 miles up the road?
Yep. He was definitely, I mean, there was nothing else in the field when he came, and he came straight to eat.
Yeah.
And, I mean, so he was definitely had to have been rutting to be moving that far, and he was swole up, but he was also just a big-bodied deer.
Absolutely.
He was a monster, like weight-wise.
Yeah, you open up a lot of conversations what you're doing. Well, I'll let Taylor ask some questions, but you opened up a lot of conversations because we talk about that all the time. Do deer stay where they're at, or do they roam? Or
we do know that the deer will roam during the rut.
Absolutely.
But Jantzen is hey, move that mic out just a little
you're
bit.
Eating the mic.
I thought it was Jantzen.
Yeah, I know. He kept looking at me. I was like, I'm not even breathing.
I
I'm
started
about
looking
to
at
die.
people's belly like, who is it?
I keep having to pull away. I'm over sniffing.
What was I saying? We'll
About
cut
him
this
rolling.
out.
Something
Yeah.
about
All right. All right. So me and Jantzen, we seem to talk about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it on Zane's episode too.
Yep.
But you're here this time
Yep.
to say what you want to, so I don't speak for you.
Here to defend yourself.
That's right.
But anyway, Janssen's more of the mindset. He's had deer that they've killed, him and Talon, where they believe that the deer have been there the whole time, avoiding the camera. You really don't know what's there. Anyway, you never really can know what all deer are living on that property. But I agree with that, though. I do agree with that. But I'm more of the mindset that I guess I trust my cameras more than Jantzen and Talon do. That's probably the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Put more faith in them.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I'm of the mindset where if I have a deer that's coming in at nighttime, I'm assuming that he's not on my property. He's coming from another property. Now, obviously, though, that goes without saying that if it's only like 20 minutes after dark, then he's nearby.
Yeah, he's nearby.
Then go cut him off. But I thought about this, too, and I don't think I've ever told you this. But I think I kind of touched on it when I was talking with Zane, but I think it has to do with how many cameras we have out. Like on a piece of property, I'll probably have 4 out or so.
Right.
Me too. I mean, I've got them.
That's why I feel so
Stacked in
confident.
there.
Yeah, and I also
every
feel
angle
like
covered.
I also feel like I put them to where if he's not on there, he's not there. Like
Yeah.
I try to put my camera
On
somewhere
travel routes
where
and-
he's not going behind it. He's not going too far away from it, And I will say though, if you don't think deer go that far, then
They will.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially like I think our leases was 1,500 acres, something like that, and I had like 5 cameras out, like across it too, and I'd gotten pictures of near about every deer, the same deer on every one of them.
And it's all situational, too.
Yeah,
like, it depends
yeah.
on the situation and what all's happened around it as
That's
to
right.
what opinion we come up on. But
We like Taylor said, we listen to a lot of podcasts, and Mississippi State University talks about how they've tracked deer that have went, miles
Yeah, I
from
seen
an
one like
area
10
and then
miles
come
or
back.
something. Yeah, I seen one that went
and then back to
incredibly
Lee
far.
Ellis was like he had one I think traveled like 8 miles at one time, and then
I forget the number.
had no clue that he was in the area. But the next morning, after he got pictures of him miles away, the next morning he killed him.
In the same spot.
Yeah, in that spot that he did not think he was going to be in. So that deer had traveled overnight for
yeah.
miles. So we do know that they do go, they do go out, they do roam. But mine and Taylor's conversation a lot of the times is like for instance, what Taylor's talking about is the deer that
And all this is centered around the rut.
yeah.
Around the rut.
The deer that Talon killed, Houdini, his best deer this year, didn't have a single picture of him early season. Talon killed him on January, I think, 17th, 19th, something like that. But like I said, didn't have any pictures of him early season. And then started getting pictures of him about January 8th. And then Talon started hunting him hard and consecutively and finally killed him. And Taylor's question was, do you think that deer was probably on that property, we just didn't know it? Or do you think that deer came from another property? And I thought, I think it's very possible that deer, we just never got pictures of that deer. But it could be because we don't have, it's a pretty big tract of property. And it could be because we don't have enough trail cams out to know if he's really going off the property or coming back or whatever he may be doing. But I told Taylor, I said, he could have been on that property the whole time. We just never got a picture of him until January when he started roaming and he got his area bigger looking for does.
He could have just been passing through.
That's right.
Somewhere you didn't have a camera. I can go along with that.
All right, so that was the deer that you killed later in the season. But before this one, you killed an absolute monster.
Yeah, I killed a pretty good one.
I forget the number, but tell me what it scored.
Okay, so when I scored it, I was trying to take off. I didn't want to be like. So I was like 134 and some change, and he was 136. But that's gross, and we ain't no.
I'm no professional scorer by any.
Okay.
I've watched enough YouTube videos to figure it out a little bit.
And I'm not saying that he ain't 120, okay? Because I may have did something completely wrong, but he is. Everybody that's seen him, he's a 130 class deer, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And he's got some deductions. So like, there's one or 2 points on one side that would take some off the other, and but that's just gross scoring. And I guess the drying process. I'm gonna try and get him scored again whenever I get him back from taxidermist, because then it'll be, the drying process is over, like y'all talked about before.
Yeah.
I don't know much about that, and I can go ahead and tell you it wouldn't have mattered to me if he scored 115 or 130.
He was getting
shot. What I mean? Like I said about a 120-inch deer, I'm pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
I want to hear the story behind that deer. So
okay, so it all started when I joined the lease, which will be so 3 years ago, I think, yeah. And I got a picture of him like the week before bow season started. I had a spot that I'm just like, I'd put, like I said earlier about me not really putting any love into deer hunting during the summer or trying, like I'd say during the summer. About August, I had already started, about end of August, I started in that spot. And I got a picture of him in full velvet as
now,
an
this
8
is
point.
the year you killed him, right?
No, this is
okay.
This
was
the
way
back.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it trickled. My efforts trickle.
This is
as I get older, it's just trickling away. Okay, so
it matters when it matters.
Yeah, so I had put in the work that year, and I had got that spot ready. Well, I got a picture of him as an 8 point, and I'm pretty certain it's him. I mean, like 100%. It's him as an 8 point because he's the biggest deer on the lease. And he was a good 8 point. And I shot him then. And he was running with another buck that was similar to that, but tall. Had one side really messed up, but his other side was just beautiful. But they were running together, and I got a picture of him like 6 a.m. the week before bow season came in. And he did it 3 days in a row, like daylight, 6 or 7. Whenever it got daylight then, he was daylighting. And I was so excited. I mean, I was in the tree at like 4 a.m., like way early.
Dedicated at that point.
And I had got pictures of him all the way to the day before he didn't show up. But, I was still like, he's been there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I go, don't see nothing. See one doe, and it's a SMZ in the back of a clear cut. That's what it is, where I was hunting. And it's wide open in there once you get in there around the creek.
how old is the clear cut?
Oh, it's fresh. I mean, it's still to this day low.
Yeah.
Like it's burned off every year, and it's like the pine trees are like this tall now.
Knee high, maybe.
I mean, but around the pine trees it's bare.
Yeah.
Like it's been replanted. It's nice. Well, so in the clear cut there's a food plot, and I'm talking about this is way off of a road too. Like this deer was killed in the boonies. Okay. And it's way back off a dirt road through through bunch of other clear cuts, and this is a very back clear cut on our property. And there's a food plot back there, shooting house, and it goes about 100 yards down to the food plot, and then it's about 100 yards from the food plot to the big wood line. And straight through the back of the food plot is where I had my little spot. And I hunted him hard there for weeks, never seen him. And I would get a picture of him every now and then during nighttime. And about middle of October is when the season came in, till about November 20th, 25th, somewhere at the end of November when rifle season started to come in. I just had nighttime pictures of him from like the season to then. So it does make me think, maybe, he probably knew I was in there or something. I had scared him out of there at some point. Maybe he was bedding close and I just bumped him out. I don't know. Well, I never got a picture of him the whole season after November. And I'd heard, and everybody, there's like 5 or 6 guys that hunt that 1,500 acres, and I'd heard from them that they had seen him on camera or seen him running across the clear cut. So I knew he was around. Well, about January, one of the older guys was like saying that somebody had killed a big deer. The big deer is what they called it.
Yeah.
Like, somebody killed the big deer. And I was like,
made you a little nervous.
Yeah, I was like, dang, I hope that ain't it.
There you went.
That hurts.
And it was like, it was a bad feeling. Well, nothing. That's all that was that year. That's it. That's the end of it. I had other deer, I'd hunt and stuff, and I really didn't kill any. I didn't kill a buck, I don't think. Maybe I shot a spike one time on accident that year, probably. I think that's the year I shot the spike on accident. And so.
You didn't start crying when you shot that spike, did you?
I'm talking about.
Remember I started crying when Dad, I told Dad, all right, I accidentally shot a spike. How do you accidentally shoot a spike?
Hey, sometimes.
But,
I don't know, I sniffed real. I'm talking about the horns like that. I thought it was a doe.
I was like 10 or 12 years old when I started crying. This wasn't last year. Talon will tell you it was last year, but I'll go ahead and clear that up. But anyways, go ahead with it.
Well, that year I didn't scratch nothing off that year. I just started hunting ducks. I was done. I was like, yeah, screw this.
Duck man.
Well, the next year, that summertime, I don't think I got a picture of him. And I really didn't get a lot during the season, but I had seen him, which if it wasn't him, there's another deer running around that property. It's huge. Okay.
It's a giant.
So I'd seen him running because a bunch of clear cuts, and I was hunting in the shooting house on a clear cut, and I seen a giant running across the back. My bad.
He's wild.
He's still doing it.
I can't cut that out. I got to leave it in.
Just listening to you, man.
Poor Parker. He can't catch a break, man.
All right. So I seen a giant running across, and there wasn't no way I could shoot him. He's like 300-400 yards away, but I was watching him, and I was like, golly. And nothing. That year was just trash, like, for that deer. Like, I didn't see him, didn't get no trail cam pictures. That's why I'm saying I don't think he was on our property, because I had him, 4 or 5 paddock cams.
He found somewhere else he was comfortable.
And the property beside ours is good. Like, it's like $5,000 a year to get in that bad boy. And they're culling them. They're steadily shooting deer as big as the one I killed. And some of the deer we kill comes off of theirs, and they probably are like, dang, they killed that deer,
Well, I was about to say, if you treat your property right, it sounds like yours could be a sanctuary for them, where they could go and avoid that pressure.
Necessary. Where it is between, so north of 106, above Georgiana.
Mm-hmm.
So like in between Greenville and Georgiana, kind of.
Way up there in the sticks.
And there it's nothing but hunt. Any land around it's hunting club. There's not really any private land. It's like all big timber company owns it.
Mm-hmm.
And the one beside ours would be the east. So the good club is northwest. To the east of us is a little bit thicker, a little bit. It's still a good managed hunting club, but there's so many bucks getting killed off of that whole tract every year. It's a couple good deer got killed off ours this year too, besides mine, 2 I think. So, but anyways, I didn't see him, and I got some trail cam pictures of a deer we call Floppy. What?
I'm getting tickled. I'm sorry.
Was I breathing hard?
No, I feel like Parker's so uptight now. I feel like he's scared to move.
Yeah, scared to breathe.
You're good.
Yeah, well, I got a picture of a deer that I still had a picture of this year, an 8-point I call Floppy. He's got an ear that's just hangs. I don't know what's wrong with it, but that's a good deer. But that's the only really deer I hunted because I didn't have pictures of him. And I keep pointing back like I'm pointing at that deer, but it's not. But then that summer, which will be this summer before this deer season we just had, so I guess last summer, I got a picture of him in full velvet with 2 more pretty big deer. All 3 of them standing side by side. It's a nice picture. But he's a bigger one.
You still got it?
Yeah, I think I got it on my phone. And it has got well, my phone's not right here. I would show y'all. But the other deer, there's another deer in it we call Wemby because, Victor Wembanyama, the tall basketball player, that's why we called him because his rack is like straight up. Like it's tall. But he was with him, and that's one of my favorite trail cam pics I got of that one.
He's funny, man.
What'd I do? What'd I do this time?
He's trying, man. I give it to him. He's trying. We'll get through this eventually, guys.
I'm finna get me a respirator over here.
You oxygen mask.
And just in case you can't hear it coming through, somebody is mouth breathing or breathing heavy.
I can
on
hear
the mic.
I can hear it whistling.
I don't know if it's going to come through on the audio, but that's what we keep getting tickled about.
I mean, I don't think it's me because I'm the one talking here. So
It might be me because it's 1,000 degrees in here. But
The likely culprit
You have
is
a
either
long
Parker
sleeve on.
or
Well,
Jantzen.
I don't know.
Everybody hold their breath.
I
Except
can't
for
hold
Parker.
my breath.
You got to quit smoking, Parker.
If I hold my breath, I'm gonna pass out.
All right. I don't forget where I was at. So, yeah, I got those pictures of him that summer, and I made my set, like the set that I was really hunting him at wasn't even close to there because the closer we got to bow season, the pictures faded from there, which was close to the original spot that I'd got him 2 years before, the first pictures I got.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
I ain't looking at nobody.
So I moved away from there because he had stopped showing up again closer to bow season like he did that year that I was hunting him hard. He just disappeared when bow season started. So I moved, and really my whole setup, like lock on everything, I put in a different spot. And I started getting pictures of him, all the 3, Floppy, the Wemby, all big bucks. I just called him the Big Ten. That's just what we'd always called him, the big deer out there, and that's what everybody called him. And I started getting pictures of him pretty regular, and I hunted him. Like, I would go to work in McKenzie, which is like 20 minutes probably from my hunting club, I'd say. I was working on a gymnasium they're building over there, and I would leave there and go hunt after work, and I would get in there late. So, I mean, I had to really sneak in there. And then I seen a bunch of does. I watched 2 little bucks that would come out there every day nearby it and bump heads and just mess around. I watched that for the longest. And
Now, you may have said, and I missed it, but what time of year is this when you moved your stand? You're getting pictures of them?
Oh, this was like the start of bow season when I
Started bow
moved.
season.
Because he had started disappearing right before bow season started. So I already knew the last time I did that in that spot, he was gone.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like I
pressure.
tried to pattern him. You know what I mean? Like the two years before that, when I moved in on him over there, he disappeared. So I didn't want to move in on him again and him disappear again. So I moved in to the different spot, and I started getting pictures of him pretty regular. I had a feeder out there, which, I mean, that helps, But he wasn't really daylighting much, and the Floppy had been daylighting like every afternoon. And I go and I see him, but I couldn't get a shot. So I hunted him all through October, and it's like middle of November before rifle season comes in, and the first time I see him during the daytime was with Aubrey. So I think she met me at McKenzie on my truck, and another guy drove the work truck home. I think that's how we did it, and we go, and we get in the stand, or we're walking to the stand, and, you know, I mean, she's not a hunter. Okay,
It's not the most
she's
quietest
not.
thing
She's
in the
not a
world.
hunter. I mean, she just never has done it really. You know what I mean? So she doesn't know. I'm trying to teach her.
So she's really doing it because of you.
Yeah, it's just a bonding thing. You
Support
know,
your
we're just
girlfriend.
she wanted to go. Okay, she killed her first deer later on, like with a rifle. When rifle season came in, like the second or third day of rifle season, she killed a deer. And but she went with me, and it was windy. She's holding on to the she sends Taylor or shows Taylor a video holding on to the branch above her. She's strapped into the tree, but she's still holding on to the tree like she's about to fall. Never let go of the branch the whole time.
So the video I saw, it looked like probably you recorded it on Snapchat or something.
It probably was. It probably was.
If I remember right, you were panning. And then she comes into the frame, and she's just sitting up there like this. She looked like a monkey the way she was just holding on to
She was below me, and I was above her. Yeah, she held on for dear life. Well, I stood up the whole time because I'd had plenty of deer. Like, I was just going to be ready. And I'm in a SMZ, and literally the creek is under the tree we're in. Food plot on this side of it, and it's running this way. Food plot, clear cut on this side. And it runs up into some little pines, and that's where I'm thinking all the deer have been bedding. So I'm kind of watching more that way. It's a little thicker through the woods that way, and it's getting dark, and I hear them coming. I mean, and I just knew that it was that bachelor group of bucks, and I hear them coming, and Aubrey's already like getting ready to go. You know, it's a little dark, and
Of course.
she's like, "It's dark," you know, and I'm like, "There's deer like under us," and they came around us, like behind the tree I'm in, under the tree, like right under it, into the food plot. And I could see White, like his horns, like I could see his horns. And I was like, I don't know if that's floppy, but I think it, you know, and it was a big one. And I drew back on him, and I couldn't see nothing. I was like, God. I was holding my bow like this, started trying to look down the arrow.
That never works.
And I was like, I'm gonna find a way, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't work, you know. I couldn't. I just let down, and we scared them out getting down. I'm certain, which I'm sure they probably they bumped to the edge of the food plot when I let my bow down because it's dead calm by that point. You know, the wind dies down at dark,
Right.
and all you hear is the rattle of the arrow going down through my arrow rest. And we get down and we walk out. You know, Aubrey never went back with me again after that because we sat up there 45 minutes after dark. But we after that, I really didn't have a whole lot. It was none of him until none at all, really. No pictures, not nighttime, nothing. After that,
It got uncomfortable.
I had pictures of Floppy every day, the buck he'd been running with. I feel like they separated around Christmas up there.
Yeah,
And they had started, you know, going off. Well, I didn't go with a rifle at all until the day I killed him. And I wanted to kill him with my bow. Could have killed him with my bow the day I killed him with my rifle. So I get in the stand. That basically just jumps to that day from about the middle of November. It just that's all there was to that buck. Like there was nothing in between. And I go to work. I tell this dude at work, it's a plumber from a different company. I'm telling him, I'm about to kill this deer today. I just feel it. Like I'm telling him I'm gonna kill it.
Probably like, heck yeah,
It's
man.
cold. It's the wind's blowing. He's like, wind's blowing too hard. He knows some old man.
Yeah.
He's like just against.
Wind and waves
He's
don't
completely
go.
against me anyways. He's like, hey, you know, he's just like, he ain't got a deer. And I showed him pictures. He was like, that deer, he ain't killing. You know, I go and
He ain't never going to mount much.
yeah.
One of those.
Yeah. He's just, he's nocturnal. He ain't got a deer. And I get in there decently. I mean, I'm not leaving work early to go after him. It's not like I'm hunting him that hard, but I get in there about 3:30, 4, you know, I leave the job at 3 probably.
Working, man.
I get in there a little late, climb up. Right when I get up, I look below the stand. There's two younger bucks, and they done walked out and started bumping, rubbing heads. And I'm like, well, all right. So I watched them, you know. Some does came across. Well, where my stand is, the food plot's right here, and the shooting house is back here. So that's kind of like the angle to my stand, and the SMZ runs right up next to the shooting house. Well, I'm looking right under my stand just watching, and I just see horns running right under my stand, chasing it. I'm pretty positive he's chasing a doe then. I couldn't see the doe. I just seen him running. And I was like, God.
Are you in a shooting house?
Yep.
Okay.
A tripod with like a thick tarp around it. So basically a shooting house. Mm. And he's running up the SMZ, and I'm waiting on him to come down, and I'm like, he's about to come down, and I'm going to kill him right here. And he never came down it, and I was like, dang, where'd he go? So I put my gun back down. I got it up, I put it back down. Those two little bucks came back out in the food plot, started bumping heads, and I hear him running. And I turned to the left, and he's running right down the SMZ. And I had my gun. I got my gun up, and I couldn't get him to stop. Couldn't get, it was just branches, all I could see through my thing. And I picked out a hole in front of him, like way ahead of him, timed him up. And I shot him right when he come into that hole, and he landed in the creek, just
done
right there.
That's all she wrote.
You know what I shot him with?
What's that?
6.5 Creedmoor.
Really?
At like 40 yards.
Taylor loves 6.5 Creedmoors.
No, I don't.
I was gonna ask. I was gonna be like earlier on. I was gonna tell y'all like I hate 6.5 Creedmoors to see if y'all would jump on the boat with me. And then later on, be like, let me tell you this: I killed like 4 deer with it this year, and every one of them dropped. But it was 40 yards too. It was close. Everybody's always like it just zips right through them or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
It shoots too fast to shoot one close. I don't know.
Yeah.
40 yards and he stoned.
What kind of ammo were you using?
I don't even. It's whitetail, Hornady. The
white
whitetail, whatever, the American flag box.
American whitetail.
Yeah, that's
Hornady
it.
American whitetail.
You know what I'm talking about? The
I think
American
that's what
flag
I was
box.
using.
Oh, my bad.
I don't know. I just had a bad experience with it. I shot 3 deer with it, and every one of them were kind of hard to find. One of them I did not find.
Did you hit them good?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I put it right on their shoulder. I'm just going to go and tell you.
The two that I found were a good shot. And when I say it's a good shot, it's my 243 would have, when I shoot them in this spot, they drop or don't go far at all. And anyway, I don't know. I didn't have a good experience with it. But, and we talked about this on Zane's episode as well, so I won't go into it a whole lot, but there's a lot of people that have good luck with them. There's even some youth models that
I'm sure Zane's against them. I'm positive he's probably one of the guys.
I forget what he said.
I don't know though, because his stepdad is like our little cousin that's like 6 shoots an AR platform one.
He said something about a 6.5 Grendel.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's basically
Grendel,
a 6.5 Creedmoor. I mean, not much difference. I can't tell you the ballistics, but I know they got an AR built just for her, like a Spider-Man AR or something.
That's pretty cool.
She killed a deer. She killed a deer with it, like when she was like 6.
Yeah.
Like,
on the other hand, I do know a guy that has a tracking dog that will, when his buddies call him, or if anybody calls him, he asks what gun they're using. If it's 6.5 Creedmoor, he doesn't go.
I don't know what to tell you.
But hey,
I just tell him I shot it with a different caliber.
Yeah.
You got to see the gun.
Yeah. That's just my experience, though. Apparently it's working for you. So
I haven't had a problem.
Yeah.
But it is like a sniper rifle, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a unit.
And the gun's at least 15 pounds.
It's a unit.
Really?
Tripod, it's a sniper rifle. It's a sniper rifle. It's like it looks like a Barrett.
Yeah.
But a smaller version.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
So so when you shoot the deer and it falls in the creek, do you immediately go down to it? Do you give him time or?
Oh, I shoot him and I looked at one of my binoculars to see what deer he was.
You just know it was
big
good
horns.
That's right.
I looked at my binoculars and I was like, oh my gosh, because I was not expecting. I hadn't had any pictures of him since bow season, and I wasn't really expecting nothing. And so the guys on the lease thought I was lying to them about not having pictures, But I really didn't have any pictures. Like they were like, you've been watching him the whole time. You just didn't want to tell us where he was at,
Yeah.
But no, I hadn't. And I shot him, and I was expecting it to be floppy. And I looked with my binoculars, and I could see that it wasn't 8 point. It was at least a 10.
Yeah.
And I just seen horns, and I was like,
Something just happened.
I knew he was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew he was dead when I shot him, and he didn't move, and he was in the creek. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get down. And I got down. I didn't even take the gun with me to go look at him because I knew he was dead.
Yeah.
That's that 6.5 Creedmoor trust right there. I just sat the gun down at the bottom of the stand, and I walked over there. And I was kind of cold, but I'd warmed up, after I shot that deer,
Adrenaline.
So I had been talking with my dad and my friend Cole. I don't know if I talked to you about taking a picture with it, laying down beside it. I thought that was hilarious when I seen a guy do it. So I didn't text my dad at all. I just sent him a picture laying down beside that big old deer. And
I saw that on Facebook, and I thought it was great, by the way.
He posted it right when I sent it to him. I was like, dang, dude, you can't even let me post it yet. Well, I was by myself with nobody else there. I drug him, and this clear cut is like a swamp too. So I got him out the SMZ, out of the creek by myself. It's a big old deer, like probably 200-pound deer. I get him out the creek. I start dragging him, and I'm dying. It's 30
sounded
degrees.
like me at that point.
It's 30 degrees, and I only had one jacket on. It's a pretty warm jacket, but I come out the jacket.
Sitka jacket?
Yeah.
Says a lot.
We'll talk about that later.
All right. I do have a question about it. I want to ask you.
And, well, I come out of it, and I got him all the way back to the little road to the food plot. And I was like, what am I going to do now? Because, I mean, it's way out there. I knew nobody wouldn't. I wasn't going to call nobody to come all the way out there and help me. I could figure out a way.
It was already raining that afternoon a little bit.
It was raining while I was dragging him, too. I forgot to mention that. Dragging him through like a swamp while it's raining. You get him in the road, load him up by myself. I think I let my tailgate down, and I picked his horns up like this, and I wedged his horns between like the little cable on the tailgate to hold his head up there. And then I climbed up, and then I pulled him and walked backwards with him like that.
Yeah.
That's how I loaded him up. Well, I called Parker. He met me at Hilltop up there, like the gas pumps up there at Hilltop, and we took pictures with him up there because, I mean, there wasn't nobody around. So he was about to go to work, and I went and cleaned him.
That red dot's still there.
I can't see
still-
it,
it's
so
still
if it goes
go.
away, tell me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I wish somebody would have been there with me to, like every now and then when you're hunting, I love hunting by myself, but, like you're hunting with your buddy, it just, that's the only thing I can say that would have just made it any better was if somebody would have been with me when I killed it.
Yeah.
Because, I'm over there celebrating by myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hitting dance moves and stuff over there. I'm by myself, Nobody's there to, just give a fist bump to. I'm over there pumping the air. Easy down, but.
Easy down. Easy down.
A good Luke Bryan moment.
Yeah, Luke.
Oh, yeah, I went crazy. Before I got down, I was like,
Yeah.
good little, like, sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
And the whole time, I'm about 20 miles south in an absolute downpour.
yeah,
Not even getting to hunt that afternoon, having to come out on the four-wheeler, my phone's ringing. And I was like, it's
called
4:30 in the afternoon. What could be this
multiple times. It was early.
Yeah, I
I forgot to
remember
mention that part. It was early. Like, I killed him, like,
It's-
I hadn't been up there 30 minutes.
Really?
Probably 35.
That's
actually.
my kind
Could've
of
been
hunt,
4 or
right?
5.
Absolutely.
And the 30 minutes I was there, like I said, right when I got up, there's already little bucks fighting right there.
Yeah, so there was action right off the
Like,
bat.
I'm pretty good at getting in the stand now. I sneak in there on them.
Yeah.
Like, there was deer in the food plot when I went in the stand. So I just kind of like eased through the clear cut, But it wasn't long. It wasn't long, and I enjoyed it, every bit of it.
I feel my pocket vibrate, and I look down, and I see Mason Turner. I was like, well, this could go one or two ways. It's a torrential downpour. I know he's hunting a big deer right now. Anything could go. And hello, and I could just, right off the bat, you can hear the excitement in somebody's voice. The breathing hard, the excitement, the do. Man, just keep repeating yourself. And
Service is terrible out there,
service
too,
is
by the
cutting
way.
in
So
and out.
it's just
I could hear, like,
it's like 5 calls, not one call. It's like, call failed.
Hey,
All right, call him back.
Snapchat. Hey, call me back right now.
That's like when I killed a deer this year. I always call my wife first, and she
I
pretends to care.
FaceTimed Aubrey first.
Yeah.
Okay, let me put that out there before. I tried to FaceTime her, and like when you FaceTime, it won't let you see the camera. Well, she was mad. Not even happy for me. She was mad because I wasn't going to be at her house that night. That night. I was supposed to come eat dinner, and she's like, so you're not coming to – that's all she said. So you're not coming to dinner. I was like, oh.
I'd have said, baby, we got dinner for about 3 weeks now.
She was mad. She was.
Well, about that.
Yeah.
Shoot, what was I going to say?
Oh, you called Greeley first is what you said.
Oh, yeah. I called Greeley first after this hunt, and then I was like, well, who else can I call? I'm going to call Jantzen. He's at work, but he'll answer. And you answered. I was out of breath.
Yeah.
And I was telling you what happened. Like, dude, I just rattled one in, and, ooh, I couldn't even get it out. You remember
Getting
that?
excitement mid-phone
Yeah.
call.
That's right.
Yes, it was funny.
Hey.
But
You rattled him in. Now that
It was the first time I'd ever done it.
I remember you talking about that in that podcast, but I've never grunt either.
Yeah,
Never
really.
works for me.
Really?
I feel like I'm scaring them off.
That's the way I always feel with the grunts. Hey, I do have one question though before we move away from this. This is just for me because I'm curious. So you said you were dragging this deer out by yourself, and y'all all kind of acted like you're about to die when you're dragging a deer out. It's not just me.
Yeah, you're not in shape. I mean, are you saying you're not the one? You're saying you're in good enough shape that you're not tired? Is that
Heck
what you're
no.
saying?
I'm saying I'm pulling this.
I mean, I pulled off layers. I had nothing but I had no shirt and bibs on. Okay,
Yeah.
and my bibs don't got layers, so I had no layers on under.
So
You know,
my
like,
bibs don't got layers.
like it's just a water shield is what the Sitka bibs are. There's no insulation, so
Right.
I had just left those on. I was like, these will, if I get water or blood, I'm good.
Yeah.
So
It's
I had
also
on.
like one of the fat suits that you'd wear to the gym, though.
Oh, yeah,
Once
it
you're
is.
in it,
It's
ain't
hot.
nothing
Yeah,
coming out.
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
well, the reason I asked, like when I'm dragging a deer, I get so out of breath.
Oh, me too.
I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack.
You're working muscles you don't usually work
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
unless you're
But then I see
like
on,
you said, seek one, and you kill one of those every other week. Then you may have
see,
seek muscle.
they kill it and it's like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Or close to it. A lot
Yeah.
bigger than our deer.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, it don't seem like they struggle as much as I do. I'm
Yeah.
like, gosh,
Well, they
I'm
got help,
concerned
you
about
know.
myself.
Yeah, he works out every day.
They
That
hold
is
the trigger a little more.
That is true. I was watching one episode where they were working out in the gym. I was like, well, I'm glad my wife ain't in here watching this.
Turn it on. Turn that off.
Hey.
She's gonna say, "Why can't you do that?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why I don't look like that, baby.
Outcast goes to the gym.
I lift the guitar, not weights.
Yeah.
Y'all have a gym episode coming up.
Yeah, well, I won't be in it. I tell you. No. I was talking to somebody about wanting a workout buddy because that's what I need is like somebody to hold me accountable
Yeah.
to it. And he sent me a message. He said, I joined the gym today. And my response back is, it's time for me to make the first steps with a bunch of dots.
Never made it.
I haven't yet, but I'm going to.
There you go.
I'm going to.
The first step's always the hardest one.
That's right.
Yeah, that is. Well, Parker, you said when we were introducing you guys, you talked about some of the stories that you had from this deer season. What's one that sticks out with you that you'd like to talk about?
Man, this deer season was a wild ride. This whole hunting season was really a wild ride. My deer season started August 15th last year, South Carolina rifle opener. And if you've never deer hunted deer in 99-degree weather in the middle of August, it's not fun.
It's
I'm just trying to sniff over here now with the shoulder. All right.
It's not fun, but
Mosquitoes?
sweat,
Yeah.
heat.
Is it as humid there as it is here?
It's humid. It's just like anywhere in the South. It's a dry heat. Heat, humid heat. You can never really predict it, but
I
that
thought it was wet heat.
Wet
Wait, it's like dry heat's like Midwest, ain't it?
well
Like
up there.
dry cold.
Well, it was a lot of wind when we was up there, but it was also hot, so it didn't really feel the sticky.
The
or
heat don't get me. It's the humidity. I
That's
swear.
what's rough.
Yeah.
That humidity will kill you. But yeah, we took a trip up there, and I've been on a few velvet hunts. I was able to take a deer in Kentucky a few years ago, open velvet, and I've always wanted.
Did you get it mounted?
I did not.
A velvet deer and you didn't get it mounted?
Found him 3 days later. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Was ruined. It was one of those
Yeah,
ran
that's
off into a ravine kind of
Golly.
things. Yeah.
That sucks about velvet too. It'll mess his whole horns up.
Yeah, if you
It
don't.
ain't- It ain't hard yet. Bugs and stuff get in it.
But since that day, I've always been, I want a velvet deer for my wall. And
Absolutely.
I've been on hunts, just haven't been able to make it happen. We took a trip up there, and I was like, okay, this is it. I'm hunting with my rifle. No excuses with a bow. I can reach out. If you have an excuse with a rifle, you need to work on your shooting a little bit better.
Right.
In some cases, but we went up there on a 5-day hunt, and man, just the deer that you seen in the soybeans, just still on their summer patterns. I mean, it wasn't nothing for 30 does and 7-8 rack bucks to come out there and feed.
Mm-hmm.
And there, it was one of those things. Okay, I'm not hunting at home, so you have expectations. I'm going out of state to deer hunt. You're always thinking just like. If you're going to Iowa, you're thinking, okay, I'm shooting a 170, or I'm not even picking up the gun unless you're Mason or you're Taylor, unless you're one of them two.
Low
South Carolina
expectations.
120 is a 120.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Bucks were coming out, and I'm looking through my scope, and I mean, man, I got buck fever over there. I'm about to fall out of the tripod on a 5-point that walked out. because you hadn't deer hunted all year, so the first time it's not like you deer hunt in August every year. So I was like, man, this is kind of cool, getting a head start and just seen deer, but never seen the right deer. And get back to camp. The very first day, it had just stormed, just crazy stormed, and the guides were texting us, sit it out, sit the tree stand. Well, I'm sitting here almost like Aubrey, all fours on the thing. It sounds like Hurricane Ivan is coming through. Like, it's about to take me to the Lord. I'm to that point that I'm not even worried about the deer anymore. I'm worried about myself.
Yeah.
And I keep texting back the guide, and I'm like, man, if we could just wait this out, I know they're going to move after this front. The way that the weather had been the days before that and the rain that they had been having, I said, I'd been looking at the radar. I said, when this front moves out and it cools off a little bit, I said, these deer are going to come out. It might be 5 minutes before dark. It might be an hour after dark, but these deer are going to come out because they got to feed. Mm-hmm. They hadn't been able to feed all day. The day before, they hadn't been able to feed. Nothing that day. It goes all the way to dark. Nothing. I'm laying in bed that night. I'm just thinking, what have I got myself into? I just sat on a 4-hour deer hunt, thought I died of heat exhaustion 3 times. Seen 30 deer that I couldn't shoot. I got 4 more days of this. I don't know what to do. And then I hear a knock on my door. It's one of the guys. He's like, man, I want to show you something. I said, okay. He said, now don't let this get to you. I was like, well, let's go get to me. If you say don't let this get to you, let's go get to me. He comes in there and he said, I personally seen this deer last year. He said he's a double main beam giant. And he said, he's in front of your camera right now. And this 2 hours after dark. I'm sitting, I got buck fever at the moment just looking at the camera. And I'm like, man, come on now. I was like, can we go right now? Can we do something? And he said, yeah. I'm just to that point, I don't even care. I'm sitting there, and his phone just keeps going off as he's trying to show me this one picture. It's stealth cam number 6. He just sliding up. I'm like, click on that one. He's like, yeah, don't let it get to you. He's like, but we hadn't had this deer on camera this year. I said, okay, I'm not gonna let it get to me. He walks out of the room. I'm texting everybody that I'm hunting with there. I'm like, I got this in the bag. It's fixed to go down.
Yeah, already killed him.
Already killed him at that point in my mind.
He's already clean.
He's already clean in the truck. We're on the way home to the taxidermist. That afternoon, the next afternoon, we go back out, and I'm fired up. I'm cutting my eyes to every little doe that comes out. I'm just thinking that it's a 150. I got it in my mind that's he's there. He's coming out. Today's the day. And I'm sitting there, and same deer's out there feeding. I'm not even paying them attention anymore. I'm playing on the phone. I'm Facebook Marketplace scrolling. I just happen to look up, and I can see we're in a soybean field. And the way South Carolina is, it's pines and kind of woods like here, but they also have a lot of ag fields in southern South Carolina that just rolls for, it seems like miles and miles.
Like the flats.
Especially them soybean fields, they get waist high. I'm just sitting here, and I'm looking way out across this field. And I can see something looking at me, but I can't make out what it is. And I'm over here, got my scope, zooming, turning everything I know to turn. It's making it worse. And I'm just like, whatever. I ain't paying no more attention. And I look back over there, and it disappears. And I couldn't tell you how far it was out there, but it was a ways out there. I give it a little bit, and I'm just looking around, looking back at these, hot, sweating, pouring sweat. I ain't got a fan. In a short sleeve T-shirt, camouflage T-shirt, I will note that, and some pants. I'm sitting there, and I look up again, and almost the same spot, I can see the thing looking at me again. I'm like, okay. There's something out there. I was like, I don't know if I just ain't got a good enough scope or what, but I finally got my scope zoomed in, and it was him. And he's just standing there about 30 minutes before dark, just with his nose up, just kind of looking around. And he's every bit of 600-plus yards out there. Like he's
6'5" Creedmoor.
He's a poke. And,
yeah, you are right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm telling you, that rifle.
Yeah.
And the old
Pull
trusty
the tripods out.
The old trusty 300 Win Mag just wasn't comfortable for that one. And he disappears. I have to turn and let him walk.
Put it on his back and let it ride.
I'd have had to put it on. I don't know what I'd have had to put it on.
2 mil dots up. All right.
And I watched him walk out, and I text the guy that is my guide, and I'm like, man, I just seen the biggest deer I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And he said, is he down? I said, well, no, I couldn't shoot him. He said, what do you mean you couldn't shoot him? You had a rifle. I said, I'm from South Alabama. I'm used to shots being 100, 150, 200 yards max. I said, 600 yards, I can't even see that far with my naked eye. I said, little on a scope. I said, no, and knowing my luck, if I was to shoot that deer and wound him, or I'm going to shoot all 5 shots, and he's just going to sit there and look at me, and then I'm going to have to tell, I really am going to get my shirt tail cut then. So I said, I just took the smart route and went it and let him walk off. But he walked out, and that deer didn't show back up until December this year. The guy texted me that somebody had killed him. But
wow.
He walked out. We hunted 3 more days, and I seen the same probably 30 does, 4 rack bucks, but never seen that deer. But what amazed me with that deer, and all of the times that I did get to see him out there, he distanced himself from the group. Like you could tell, and all the deer would look over there and just kind of acknowledge him, the younger bucks and everything, but he stayed. He was almost like the watchdog. Stayed 200 yards back. He kept them inside. He was looking at them the whole time, panning from them to me, but just –
and that's why he was the biggest and probably the oldest.
That was the biggest. Why he was the biggest and the oldest, because that was what he was comfortable with. And a lot of them big open ranges like that, that's why them deer get as big as they can. Just I can use Kansas for instance. When you can see 2 miles across the field, there's no way for you to sneak up on that deer. Mm-hmm. So you can ride the interstate through some of them states and look out there, and they'll just be a monster because they know they're safe. There's no woods around them. There's nothing for them to sneak up to them. and I mean, most of them ag fields, ankle high, and there's nothing around them. They can see you coming from 5 miles away. Mm-hmm. No pressure. And like Jantzen touched on earlier, when you find trees, you can find deer in places like that. You don't have trees, you can see out there. It's almost looking at a blank canvas.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the canvas. There's nothing there for you to hunt. But, yeah, that really was – that was a learning moment, though, of really learning patterns on deers, and was able to carry it into this deer season. I made a trip up to Missouri in November, and it was one of those things you carry a big expectation when you go. I went the end of the rut, hunting public land by myself, roughing it out, packing it out. I said, I've always seen this. This is what I want to do. And I'm not going to lie, I passed on a few deer that I kick myself to this day just because – I'm in Missouri. I'm not in Alabama. You know, 120 walks by, and you're like, man. And then you go back to the motel that night, and you're just like, man, what did I just do? But
yep. 120 is a 120.
120 is a 120.
No matter where you're at, it's the same. 120 is a 120.
If it walks out and it gets me excited, that's really all that matters.
Oh, yeah.
If it makes me say, oh, crap.
It don't matter what it scores to me when I shoot one around here. If it's big enough for me to shoot it, I know it's going to be, decent. Yeah. I'm not just going to go shoot anything. Right. If I shoot it, it's going to be a good deer. But, I'm not worried about what he scores when I go to shoot it. Maybe when I get some trail cam pics or, like, history with it, I'll look at it and be like, I think that may be a 120 or something. Yeah. But at the moment, it really don't even take me counting times. I can kind of tell. It's like kind of like when I see it first sight, I'm like, yeah, that's a shooter. Right. Like, it's not like.
Like you hunting in Missouri, and would you say it was South Carolina?
South
Carolina. I also think, too, that it's a little easier for them guys, professional hunters and other people that go on trips like that to different states other than Alabama. I feel like it's easier for them to be more selective. One reason is because there's bigger deer there, but not just that reason. There's another reason behind it is because you can sit down here for the whole month of the first, the whole first month of deer season down here in Alabama and never see anything bigger than a 4-point.
Yep.
So when that 120 does come out,
looks like a 170.
He looks like an elk walking across the the food plot. Yeah. Them guys up there, you watch TV and you got people in Missouri that's watching 3 to 4 shooter bucks around here in one morning, chasing a doe or chasing a few does, and it's like steady, constant buck. It's like, man, I saw one at 6 o'clock right at daylight. There was a good buck, ran a doe down the creek, and he ran right past me. He was about 80 yards out there outside of range, but he was a good buck, ran by. Well, then an hour later, or maybe not even an hour later, they got another buck off in the distance they saw. Then they saw another shooter buck come. Yep. Then they got 2 bucks that come down within range. Do I shoot them? Do I not? I've seen 5 bucks this morning.
Absolutely.
So it's like a different ball game.
It's definitely
You know what I mean?
It's definitely different.
Which is why we said it's harder to hunt Alabama.
Yep. You're not seeing those deer. You're not.
But I think one of the things that really helped those states, and I know a lot of hunters complain, but when you really look at the aspect of it really helps is the 1 buck states. When you can only take 1 buck in that season, you're going to take, the biggest deer that you have on your farm.
Or have to draw a tag to kill one.
If you have, just say you have 4 4-year-olds, but one of them's the biggest, well, you're going to kill that one. Well, around here, if you got 4 2-year-olds, you're going to shoot all 3 and then probably going to shoot the 4th and just not claim it.
If he shows himself.
If he shows himself.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing about not claiming. If you were going to shoot more than 1 deer either way, you're going to shoot more than 1 deer either way. It don't matter what the thing is.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean? Like, there's regulations on everything. It's just like going to a dove shoot. Somebody's like, you can only shoot 15. Everybody out there is going to shoot 30. Okay? If it's a good shoot.
But, we won't put this in the comments.
I'm just saying, like, and I'm not saying that it's okay.
Yeah.
Or not saying that I would do it. Like, our limit's 3. I mean, I never shoot 3 good bucks in a year hardly.
Yeah.
But
there are a lot of people
1 buck
that
states. There's multiple people going to shoot 4 or 5 bucks. Just like here, I know there's probably 5 or 6 people I can think of right now that shot 5 bucks this year, good bucks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the limit, it does help in ways, I guess, if the game wardens owned the ball, but
right, and
I don't think we have enough game wardens to enforce that
No.
anyway.
No, and 2, like,
and no matter what, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
And no matter what regulations you have in place, there's always going to be people that bend those and break those.
Yeah.
And I never see the only time I've really got stopped by the game warden that goes back to getting picked up from school and going hunting. I had an Ole Miss sweatshirt on and I got a ticket for not wearing orange.
Really?
That's the only time I really ever got stopped by a game
Tennessee
warden.
orange.
I got stopped by the game warden and got a ticket for not wearing orange when I was like 13, and I had a red hoodie on.
Man, but back to the like you said, you kill 1 buck. Yeah, you do have. Everybody's got limits at every state, and most of the time you're going to have some people that's going to kill a little over the limit. But the ones that so in Alabama our limit's 3. Okay, you got some guys that's going to kill 3 bucks. If you got some guys that's going to kill more than 3 bucks, but you got some guys that's going to follow the law. But in them,
and just for the record, I don't know anybody that shoots more than 3 bucks, so don't come asking me.
I don't
who
either.
they are.
I've never shot more than 3 bucks.
You need to go to these 2 guys.
I didn't say I knew anybody's name. I just have seen people post. Okay?
Right.
Nice.
I can't even remember to go back to look at who it was, but I've seen it.
But I do know he killed 13 turkeys.
Killed a hen. She had 5 eggs.
It only seemed like 13. He didn't really. I'm joking.
Man.
I mean, I every year I seem like I watch it. Like, I mean, I go with multiple people, and they all kill one. So I do watch a lot of turkeys die.
Absolutely.
I will say that I watch a lot of turkeys die.
Yeah.
But like even this year, I'm always chasing the 4th one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm always chasing that 4th bird.
That's how I am. This past turkey season, I watched more than what I would have been way over my limit. I watched them die.
Yep.
Because, Talon would kill some. My dad killed one. Several of my friends that I went with, they killed one. So, I mean, it was over the limit. If I had the gun, I would have been over the limit, but watched them die. So when you post on Facebook with, what is it?
I'm confused. I was looking at you, man. I'm trying to be involved in the conversation.
Look, all right, when it comes to turkey hunting, I just kind of zone out for a little bit. And I look over him. It looked like Parker was zoned out too. He's looking at me. I said, "Do you turkey hunt?" That's what I was whispering to him.
He does, but he's not as. I will say he's not as into it as I am.
Yeah.
And Brantley, the guy that hunts with us a lot, that he's into it too, like that.
Yeah.
He's really
I think a turkey spit in his mouth when he was at a young age.
Yeah, something. Pete in his cornflakes or something. He hates them.
He has a little turkey DNA in his system.
That's his problem. He just don't hate them yet.
Yeah,
you gotta hate them to kill them.
That's right. But yeah, so I saw a lot die, and if you post on Facebook, a lot of people's like, "Man, you killed a bunch of birds." No, I didn't kill all the birds, But back to the deer hunting stuff. I can't help but think though the 1 buck limits at these places you're talking about, that's outside of Alabama. You do have people just like Alabama that's going to kill more than 1 buck, but at the same time, you're going to have less people killing more bucks still because the limit's only one.
Absolutely.
And the people following the laws only killing one. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I believe, too, like you said, I agree with you, Parker, on when you go to somewhere like Missouri, you can be more selective. So when you got one deer tag, I don't want to kill a 120. I want to kill a 160 or above, especially if you've killed a 150 at one time before. I don't want to go – I don't want to spend my tag unless it's the last week of season.
I can go along with that.
If it's the last week of season, I hadn't killed a deer, and I want to put some meat in the freezer, I'll kill a 120. I'll kill a spike that comes by. If you know, or a doe is more than likely what I'm going to pick out to kill if I have a doe tag. But you know, sometimes some of these places don't have a doe. Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Hey, call Dad. I didn't mean to shoot him. What do you mean? I'll be in jail, you know. But
they're enforcing it even more with now. I know like Kansas and some of those Iowa is like a 2,000 draw limit. I mean, just something crazy. Even the in-state residents, they can't get a tag.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
That just blows my mind with the landowners over there. You know, I couldn't talk myself into buying a $200,000-$400,000 farm knowing that I might not draw a tag this year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can still put into it, and you know that's my thing, really putting back into the land and deer management and all that, but I can't hunt it, and that would just drive me insane knowing that I do not have a tag. And if I looked across the field and there's a 160 out there and I'm tagless, I'm sick of thinking.
Goes back to why they get bigger too, is because if you own 2,000 acres, and a lot of landowners out there don't own 30 acres. Like I got 31 acres here in Alabama. Yeah. It's thousands of acres, and your family's got. Family's got property. Yeah. And y'all probably.
It's not thousands of acres.
Yeah, 200, 300, 400
it's like
acres.
300 something maybe.
Very few people's got 1,000 acres around here. When them guys out there, they'll buy, you know, even in Arkansas, Mississippi, you know, you'll have a farmer that comes in and is like, I got 3,000 acres. Well, good Lord, you know.
For you.
He's got property he don't even hit the corner of sometimes. Like he don't even go down the road sometimes on some of his property. It's so big. So when you don't draw a tag and you have to let it live another year, it's just getting bigger, and if you got 2,000 acres, then he's more than likely he may be.
Staying on your
you
land.
Got a better chance of him
neighbors.
Staying. That's right. Yep. But
if you have no tag, you're also not hunting, which reduces the pressure.
Right. So. Exactly. So.
We was going to talk about something I forgot.
I wanted to
ask me a question. Yeah.
I wanted to. Do you wear Sitka stuff?
Here we go.
All right. Well, this is.
I got all kind of Sitka.
This is just for me.
Yeah.
This is just for me because.
Now I got one suit of Sitka.
His daddy bought him the suit. The whole thing.
Here we go.
Hey, he's not lying.
I'm kidding.
So I bought that Sitka gear, or my dad bought that Sitka gear 6 years ago for me and Talon for Christmas when Sitka had just started.
Before it was what it is.
It was big then, but it wasn't as big or as popular as it is now. Anyways, the guys in the duck club, you know, we had this guy, we call him Sitka in our duck club because he's a lawyer, had plenty of money. So from day one, he'd come in with Sitka gear on, and that's his waders, his everything is all Sitka stuff. So we call him Sitka. That's the first time we ever heard of Sitka. And when we looked up the prices, it was like, oh, brother, I won't never own a pair of that, you know. Well, my dad bought us a suit, me and Talon, the Dakota hoodie, which is like bottom of the line, you know. And then the wader pants, and I just wear them as normal pants when I go deer hunting because they're still fleeced inside, you know, and still warm. So I've wore them for 6 years, and I don't have any other Sitka stuff yet. But I'll be honest with you.
I got
I want to hear what Taylor has to say about it.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say. I want to ask.
I got a pile of it, and I will say I got a dive bomb jacket now, and it was a lot cheaper, and I like it.
Really?
I like it. It's kind of the same quality. Same with the waders. Dive Bomb dropped the waders, and they're a lot cheaper. Front zip. Basically Sitka waders, but they're cheaper. And now that Sheen company is the same as Sitka pretty much. It's just got
Sheen.
the bottom land. Yeah.
Sheen, That's what Talon wears. I wear Sitka. Talon wears Sheen. He likes Sheen stuff.
Okay. But they like Louis Vuitton and Prada.
I love mine. You know,
neck and neck.
Yeah.
I had nothing but a duck oven jacket on and a short sleeve shirt like this, and it was like 18 degrees, and I was busting ice duck hunting, and I was fine. So all I had was that jacket.
All right, so that gets into what I want to ask.
Certain systems, I will say.
Certain systems are,
Okay, so here's what I hate about wintertime trying to dress warm. All right, of course you sweat when you're walking to the stand. Okay. And then if I put on basically with the clothes that I have now, I have to layer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So many layers if I want to stay warm. Those layers, as you get closer to the outside of your layers, they get thicker generally, to the point where, like, I'm in the tree stand, I can't move.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Or if I'm trying to
Like
climb.
Michelin Man.
Yes. Or if I'm trying to climb my steps, it's like, I can't get it quite far up. And you have to, like, take your leg and pick it up some.
Sitka does.
So the first question I have is, like, if you have Sitka, because I went to pry some the other day, and I said, forget this.
I got a few hacks for that.
Okay, well, you need to tell me something.
I'll give you a
little bit.
discount code.
Yeah.
I got a little 40%
I use Sitka
code.
buy, sell, and trade on Facebook.
Okay.
Let me tell you. This is for everybody. This is for everybody out there. This is for everybody out there. I'm not going to gatekeep this one. You can find some really good stuff for cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You get people that it is no big deal for them to buy a $400 jacket and wear it once and then say, oh, well, it's a year old. I'm going to sell it for $200. Somebody will buy it
just because they want the new camo pattern that comes out.
Just to get rid of it. And I do own a lot of Sitka pieces, and I probably have 4 or 5 that I've bought off Marketplace.
Yeah, I'm proud of what I got. I'm going to sell mine for what I got it for. I ain't getting rid of it.
But
I'm like Parker. I lied to you a while ago. When I got one suit, I actually after deer season, I got on that. I'm part of that Sitka group that you're talking about, and I bought a vest, a jacket. I think that's all I got. But I bought a jacket and a vest for $80. Both of them. I bet the jacket was probably $350 new.
Wow. Which one
and
was
I bought both of them.
Do you remember?
I can't remember. I have to look at it and see.
I'm to the point I got post notifications turned on. But my old lady can look over at my phone and she sees Sitka buy, sell, and trade. She just shakes her head and just
That's
kind
how
of
I used to be when it was legal to have those the buy, sell, swap things on Facebook, but guns.
Oh,
man, I stayed on that stuff. But all right, so my question is, with the Sitka stuff or your premium clothing, whether it's the Sheen brand as well, is it really like less layers are going to keep you warm?
Mm-hmm.
So like I
can go along with that.
It's all dependent on what it's made of and what just really how you layer.
You need to look in. You definitely need to, before you buy it, you need to look into it because it'll tell you on there pretty much. Like,
all right, so do you have to have a system?
The warmth rating.
Okay, I have just like a certain system probably, yeah. But another thing is the camo patterns. They're not really the best one that blends in down here to me is the Sitka timber.
Yeah, that's what I got.
It'll blend in. That's what I used to deer hunt.
If
I'm gonna wear Sitka to deer hunt, that's what I'm gonna wear, just the timber.
Yep.
And if you wear marsh, you're gonna look like a hay bale sitting in a pine tree.
Yeah.
Sitting in an oak tree. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you.
You're gonna look like a pile of sagebrush out there.
It's not made for here, really. None of it is. The timber is the best for camo pattern, but you don't have to have a whole system. Like I said, the duck oven jacket, I had it, and that thing is warm.
Yep.
But it's one of those things, you invest in quality, kind of like guns. I'm not gonna talk bad on a Mossberg, but you can go out and buy a Mossberg shotgun and shoot it, and you're gonna hurt. You could be cussing the gun, oh, this piece of junk, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I've owned some Mossbergs that's been great, but that's besides the point. And you can go out and buy the new Benelli Super Black Eagle and shoot it. Say, oh, this thing's smooth. It's one of those that you got to look at. How much am I going to use it, and what am I going to use it for? Like, if I'm going to go hunting twice a year in 50-degree Alabama temperature, then I don't need to spend $400 or $500.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't need to spend $400 or $500 on a hunting suit.
Because it ain't going to get cold enough for the duck oven jacket but about twice here.
That's right.
I'm going to tell you.
I can go to Walmart or Tractor Supply and get a whole suit for $50, and I can tough it out.
Well,
that's
the other thing I was thinking is down here it doesn't get super duper cold.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
which
a
I got the
handful of
lightweight
times.
stuff too that I like.
And that's what I was going to ask. Like, could you get by with just doing the lightweight stuff?
I wear the lightweight stuff all through bow season if I'm going to wear Sitka. I got like the Equinox Guard, I think, is the turkey hunting stuff that they make, but it's perfect for here.
It goes down to where you can almost see through the pants. I mean, you can get some thin stuff, but it still holds up to the quality. I got some pants that I've wore probably 3 years
Briars.
now.
Don't get on Briars.
Don't get on Briars and some things.
My Equinox Guard pants, I mean, I wore turkey hunting one time. After that, I was done because I was ruining them. Yeah. Really, I was running through the briars.
Now I will tell you this on my Sitka stuff. So when Dad bought that, he had a good point. So he bought the Dakota hoodie.
That's warm. It's warm.
And those pants because down here in Alabama, Now my dad, he's got Sitka from can to cane. He opened up. I didn't even know he had it. He come home not too long ago from Arkansas. He brought all this stuff back from Arkansas. He had 2 bins, huge, and he's just ripping Sitka stuff out. I said, where'd you get all that? And anyways, I guess he just went on a rampage.
Yep.
But the reason we got the hoodie and we got the pants is because on them 50-degree mornings where it starts off at 30 degrees and then it gets up to 60 degrees during the day, I just don't wear nothing under it, and I'm fine, and I'm not sweating too bad, or I'm not sweating at all. And then on them freezing cold mornings, I can throw a couple shirts under that hoodie. I only wear like
leggings.
Leggings under my Sitka.
Tight fit and stuff.
And I'll sit there all morning. I'm fine with it.
That's what I do too. Like with my bibs especially. That's why I like those.
So you just have the Sitka base layer? Is that what you're saying?
He's wearing it as an outer layer.
I'm wearing it as an outer layer, but it is a base layer. The pants I'm wearing is supposed to go under your waders. They're called wader pants.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you now.
They're supposed to go under your waders.
The hoodie is like, I think, is yours a half zip? Or is it a full zip?
It's just a half. Yeah.
Half zip.
I would recommend getting a full zip, and the reason for that is because it's aggravating when you do put on a small shirt or jacket under it. It's aggravating to put that thing on, and it's just easier to just zip the whole thing.
I got the Ambient 100 full zip, and it's like a waterproof kind of material on the outside, and the inside's fleece, and it's a full zip. I like it.
Have y'all seen that TikTok where the boy is saying, like, I'm poor, ain't I? Yeah, that's how I feel. I saw one where it's like comparing the Walmart Mossy Oak to the Sitka, and the boy's like, I'm poor, ain't I?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of people banded. There's a lot of brands out there that have stepped their game up. That's not as much as Sitka.
Absolutely,
that works.
I do own some of those.
Good enough to hunt in Alabama for sure. 100% sit there
waders,
all morning.
Gator waders just dropped their like version of Sitka waders for like way cheaper too.
Yeah. So it's not just the Sitka brand that you could go with, but I'm with these guys when it comes to
quality.
And I was kind of ashamed to wear Sitka. It's almost like that compound bow and that crossbow conversation y'all had. Like if you wear Sitka, you're not a real hunter.
50% of the reaction you're going to get is going to be like, oh, you got money.
Oh, you think you're bad, don't you? Yeah. You probably ain't never killed a deer in your life, but you're wearing Sitka. You think you're cool, don't you?
I always tell him you can't hide money.
Get on peasant.
Hey, you'll get that all the time. You can't hide money.
You
can't hide money, especially from guys that. And am I saying that you can't kill a deer if you don't have Sitka? No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
You can have a plaid shirt like the guys back in the day used to wear them and kill a deer just as big as a man in Sitka. But like Parker said, and they said,
comfortable.
When it comes, if I want to sit all day or if I want to make sure that I've got the best, and I know you usually do because I've been bow shopping with you before, and you didn't cut any cost on your bow because you was like, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to spend the money, I'm fixing to do it right.
Do it right the first time.
And that's kind of what Sitka gear really is, and I know it's got a big name because some people don't want to spend the money on it, but I can tell you probably won't regret it if you get some just because it's quality. It's quality stuff.
Well, one thing that I looked at, because I've been looking into this for a few weeks, and I never really thought about it, but one thing that kind of increases the quality of it is the material that they make.
Absolutely.
It's more silent. Yeah. And I thought, well, that's a pretty good point right there.
Some of it. I will say some of it. Yeah. If you get anything that's like, of course, if you get something waterproof, it's not going to be
windproof.
Right.
But that's kind of what I tell everybody. 90% of when you get cold is from wind.
Wind cutting through.
You can have on 15 layers of something that's not windproof, and you're going to get cold. Mm-hmm. The wind can be blowing, and you can feel it. Or just since we're on the Sitka topic, I could put one of my Sitka jackets on that's windproof and not feel the wind and also not get cold. So it's one of those, it's how you're going to use it. If you're sitting in a ground blind, you're not getting a lot of wind, you don't have to have that windproof suit. You don't have to have, all this. But if you're out there sitting where the wind can get to you, the elements can get to you, wind, rain, sleet, or the dude that's sitting
tornado.
Hurricane.
Tsunami. Parker's hunting every day.
1930 Dust Bowl. Whatever's going to happen, you're going to be prepared for it.
Hey, I mean,
if it rolls you across the ground, you will not get hurt. You won't get injured.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you can fall
when
out
you got
of a tree with this old.
Hey, sometimes if you got about a mile walk in, you don't want to go back to the truck. I ain't going to get cold 5 minutes and say this is it. I'm going to say, well, I'm about to get warm. I'm fixing to get in my $500 suit.
Toilet paper included.
I peed in my Sitka, and it wasn't even wet after I peed. It dried
up instantly. Microfiber.
But yeah, I'm like Parker. Yeah, pretty much analyze. Before I bought Sitka, I would definitely – we duck hunt, me and my family. We duck hunt, we deer hunt, we turkey hunt. We do it all, and we hunt in cold situations in Arkansas for sure. Absolutely. Which is one reason I got Sitka probably right off the bat, but I would analyze why I needed it. But I can guarantee you this, if you're going to sit and you're going to be a big deer hunter and you're going to do it a lot, you won't regret buying it. That's all I know.
Invest.
Yeah. It's an investment.
And it's not something you just at one time either. You know, I've bought like 2 or 3 pieces at once, but I've added.
Might have to take out an auto loan.
I mean, maybe if somebody asked me what I want for my birthday or Christmas, I've said a time or two, this. Maybe just give you an idea, something like that. But other than that, I bought everything separate. I'm not dropping $2,000, $3,000 at a time.
We took a trip up to Kansas late January this year for duck hunt, dry field, and weather conditions were awful. I was supposed to be flying into Denver on a Friday afternoon, and Thursday night I was getting texts saying that Denver airport was closed down due to snowstorms. And I'm just thinking, what have I got myself into? I mean, I've been hunting in some cold, but I'm looking at temperatures up there. You're looking on WSFA, and it says North Dakota -12, and I'm like, man, I've never seen 12, let alone -12.
I think I turned it back around.
Yeah.
Well, we made the trip and got up there, and I remember landing in Topeka, Kansas about 8 o'clock on a Friday night and looking at my phone, and it said -6.
Yeah.
And in the airport, you're like, man, it coming from South Alabama, you're like, oh, -6, that's kind of cool. Like, this could be cool to hunt in, No.
I never would have thought that, actually.
I walked out of the airport, felt like an Iceman.
I bet.
But we go to the lodge, and we're sitting there, and so me and my buddies from Atlanta and some of his friends from Orlando that's never left South Florida in their life. And bless these guys' hearts, they have, the Walmart Mossy Oak, the steel-toed Irish setter hunting boots. I mean, they just come from the mill to go hunting. I mean, that's all they've ever known. And we're sitting there getting a game plan, and the guy even tells us, he said, man, we're not going out at daylight in the morning. He said, we can't. He said, the roads is, too bad. He said, plan to go out about 10 a.m. And just thinking, I'm like, 10 a.m., they're done flying by then. Up there, they feed all day, especially during the wintertime when they ain't no food for them. They're flying around to find food. And we get up that morning, and it is frigid. I mean, we walk outside, it's cold, and I'm really second-guessing it at that point. So I go over there to my trusted bag of Sitka stuff. And
I hooked it to the front of the truck, snow plow. Got the snow out of the way with the Sitka.
With the Sitka. Snowplow man came by.
Yeah. Sitka done took his place.
Hey, it was a Sitka suit, didn't have nobody in the suit. Have you ever heard of that?
Just aired. It's airtight. We aired it up.
Lord have mercy.
But I knew then, I said, well, I'm going to put all the doubts of the Sitka away kind of for myself now, because at that point I've hunted, Arkansas. I've hunted some of these other states, but I've never hunted -degree temperatures. And I was like, man. So I get suited up, and I can honestly say hunting in -6, I got cold. I will say I got cold, but I think you're expected to get cold at that point. But I didn't get cold to the fact that I was miserable. And
yeah.
So it ain't all it's cut out to be.
Would say no.
What you saying?
No, it is what it's cut out to be. But
I've never tested mine out that far.
With saying that, some of the guys that I mentioned from South Florida that didn't, that had just the normal camouflage, they were suffering. I mean, they were just
the normal. The peasants. The peasants were in the field just dying.
Okay, maybe I should have worded it a little different than that. But
there was 4 guys. Two of them didn't make them back. Didn't make it back.
We had to thaw them out later.
Oh God! I had told the guy in the group. One of the guys, ironically enough, his nickname was Big Country. Big Country. I mean, you could just imagine this guy in your head. Everybody knows a Big Country in their life. Well, the night before, I'm telling the guy, I was like, man, what are you wearing in the morning? He said, well, I'm gonna wear this. And I was just looking at it like, there ain't no way. You're gonna die. And I was like, well, you might be all right.
Big country caught pneumonia. He didn't hardly make it back.
This guy pulls out his square-toed, steel-toed hunt boots. A pair of
Justins.
You can't make this up. You can't make this up now. A pair of Magellan coveralls.
We opening the list wear Justin Boots Magellan coveralls.
It's okay if you wear it as long as it's not -6.
Yeah. Know your temperature ratings before this.
It's all right if you wear that stuff. Lord have mercy.
Yeah. Disclaimer: we are not sponsored by Sitka. We are not sponsored by any of those
Big
things.
Country.
If you'd like to reach out to,
I hope Big Country don't watch this. He sounds like somebody we probably can't take. Big Country.
guy was a great spirits. Yeah. Guy
How
was
big a
great
boy is
spirits.
he?
He's a big guy. But what is this, Roy D. Mercer? No, we're in the blind, and I can just tell that he's suffering, but he don't want nobody to know it. You look over there, you good, man? He's sitting there shivering, man. I'm good. You know, about to lips turning purple, and I guess a little bit. I don't want to use the term more privileged in this situation, but
You already said it.
The two guys that didn't have very much money. They got sick, caught pneumonia. They had they died.
All right, guys, just to let y'all know, if you don't got enough money to buy Sitka, you can't go hunting in Kansas.
that is not true. Just don't go.
You are a
hunting
little more
negative
fortunate.
Yeah, fortunate.
Yeah. Okay. Those a little bit more
We're a
fortunate.
little bit more blessed.
Yeah. We yeah. It didn't seem to be as cold, but it kind of amazed me of not getting cold. What I thought, because I've hunted here in 30 degrees. 30 degrees here, the country shuts down. You'll see it on Wayo, schools closed, roads closed, all this other stuff. It's like a national outbreak, but up there, that's a Tuesday for them. I mean, it's nothing for them. But it really amazed me, not only how it cut the wind, but the way it kept the heat inside. It's one of those, you definitely don't want to eat a bad gas station burrito before putting a pair of Sitka bibs on. But it's one of those that keeps everything in. You could unzip the top of the bibs and steam's going to come out looking like a smokehouse. But you don't have to worry about your heat escaping from your body, which that has its pros and its cons, like Mason was saying earlier.
What else?
Parker's going to be on a Sitka commercial.
What else? Anything else?
But like Mason was saying earlier, when he was dragging that deer out and he only had one jacket on and he got hot, that it was holding the heat in to his body.
What else?
I think I'm going to go buy some First Light when I get home. I mean Sitka, not First Light.
We're changing the name of this podcast to Should We Wear Sitka?
Yeah, we can talk about that for ages.
I can tell you this: if there's frost on the trees, snow on the ground,
Yeah, you better have it on.
yeah,
Don't matter.
Don't be like Big Country.
106 to -6. We're good. You can shed layers.
You can shed layers.
I'm going to go home and throw my Irish setter boots away.
Throw your steel-toe Justins away.
Justin Boots is gone.
Go ahead and burn
I'm going to
them-
call my
them
wife on the way
Magellans.
home and tell them, just go ahead and throw my Justin Boots in the garbage.
Magellans.
I don't want to be called.
Them Magellan overalls, throw them away. They ain't no good.
Well, that's
man.
funny. Well, I've been looking into it. I was curious if it was really worth it, and I really am starting to lean toward it more.
It's definitely an investment.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, there's something else that again at the time we were recording this, Zane's episode has not
Come out
come out
I haven't
yet.
seen it.
And we talk about something in his episode, and he told me that when I interviewed y'all, that I needed to ask your opinion on it, and that is crossbows. He brought up crossbows. What are your thoughts?
We had it's just not a good. I don't like crossbows. Okay. Okay. First of all, I got in more depth whenever we he's probably heard me really dog them hard. Okay, but I will say there's a time and place for a crossbow.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you're a 6-year-old little girl, all right. Any more older, you can pull back a compound bow 35
What
pounds.
if you wear Justin Boots?
All right. Magellan coveralls. No, but for real, maybe if you really and truly had shoulder problems or something, I feel like you could maybe if you had something, But anybody is like blessed as us physically should be pulling back a compound bow. That's just how I feel about it during bow season, because that's basically a gun to me. Like if you have a crossbow, you can shoot a deer.
So don't include it in archery season. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like for people like Abel, so like somebody that has physical problems or something. Not Justin Boots, okay, but really and truly like can't physically pull back a compound bow. I feel like then that's where a crossbow comes into play. Crossbow is not for people that.
I'm curious. I got to hear from Parker.
He shoots a crossbow.
I do not shoot a crossbow. Disclaimer. I do not shoot a crossbow. I do not wear Magellan. I do not wear Magellan coveralls. I do not wear Justin Boots.
But he is. He identifies as a 6-year-old girl.
Hey, you said something about earlier when you were telling how you got into hunting and you had a crossbow when you were in kindergarten. I thought, okay, now I wonder what Parker's going to think about when I ask this question.
I'm really mixed.
That's okay, though. That's another thing. He's 5 years old, okay? He can shoot a crossbow. He can shoot a crossbow then.
I'm kind of mixed on the crossbow situation.
I can't wait.
Evidently, when you look at it, bow hunting's more of the skill. Can I get that deer within bow range? That was what
to me 70, 80 yards is not bow range. Okay, because I've shot a crossbow at a target, and like when my buddies had a crossbow, I shot that thing at like 80 yards and was holding a group and it was like there. It wasn't like your bow at 80 yards.
Yeah.
So I look at it as that way. It's more of the challenge. So I get why people shoot recurve bows, and I shoot a recurve bow. Disclaimer: I do not shoot a crossbow.
You do not shoot a recurve. You shoot a compound.
A compound. Excuse me.
You do not shoot a recurve.
He's not that cool yet. You got to be like 60 at least to shoot a recurve. Okay, everybody knows that.
A compound.
This guy's
bow.
He wears Sitka and shoots a recurve.
Recurve and feather fletchings. That's it.
With red and yellow paint on my face.
Wooden arrows.
He don't wear no shirt when he's hunting. He's behind the tree, no shirt on, war paint. Go ahead.
I'm glad you brought Parker.
I don't even know this guy no more.
You do not shoot a recurve.
He said, I shoot a recurve bow. Okay, Rambo. All right.
That's a totally different level.
Yeah, that's a different level.
Go ahead.
But, yeah, just the aspect of being able to get that deer in range, I get the point of shooting a compound bow.
There you go.
And
one with cams on it.
I respect that because, we've all been in the situation. You might have had a good deer, or you might even have had a doe that you move one little ounce to pick that bow up, and you're busted.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. Instead of sitting there with it on your little climber or your lock on just like this.
Yeah. But on the positive side of the crossbow aspect, like he said, obviously physical, not being able to let you shoot a normal bow.
I can go
but you can get in a situation, especially with boat hunting, that you can get in there so tight that any little movement, you're done. And then if it's a smart buck or something like that, you're never going to see him again. So that's one of the things, if I can have something right here just to
told y'all
versus I'm just saying. I'm saying.
Hey, what kind of crossbow do you have?
Barnett.
I do have a Barnett.
Barnett.
I do have a Walmart Barnett. So
Oh gosh,
it's in Bottomland too, so it's kind of trendy.
That Matt Busfus is who owns that, right? The Busfus guys own Barnett, right? Ain't
So
that
let me
Oh,
get
no.
this right. You can wear Sitka gear, but you may have to buy your gun from Walmart and Fred's dollar store.
If you wear Sitka gear, you can shoot a Barnett crossbow.
And still be just as good and cool as the other guys. You know?
Hey, you want to know a secret though?
What's
I ordered mine from Amazon.
Oh, you shoot a crossbow?
I do.
I thought you just said you bought a bow.
I was going to say let's do this again, but he won't be invited back.
Yeah, at least you don't
I've been waiting on when to tell him that I shoot a crossbow.
That's why he's been smiling at me. He's like, I can't wait.
You shoot a crossbow every time you go.
No, not every time I go.
What else? Didn't you just buy a new bow?
Yes.
Compound. Yeah. And kill deer with it.
Maybe it's time to just step away.
Score and watch your situation.
Until you're 65 or something, until you tear your rotator cuff or something.
Let go of your old bad habits and go ahead.
Zane brought the question up
This is your
to me.
opportunity.
Hold on, before I go much further though, if there's somebody that can be in my corner, I need somebody in my corner. So when was the last time you killed a deer with a crossbow?
Last year.
He tried to deny it whenever we first started talking about it. He got out here trying to deny it.
I smoked it at like 70 yards. I had to.
All right.
It was
And
one
there
of
he
those.
goes,
I knew
70 yards.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, it was raining, sleeting, everything when he
This
shot
was-
it.
it was
is
-7
hilarious.
with a Cat 5 hurricane coming.
This is hilarious.
It was a dust storm that day. I couldn't really see real good.
Yeah.
It was a storm. What was that?
He had his motorcycle goggles on just so he could see through the scope.
What was the Wizard of Oz movie? The storm that come through Kansas. That's what it was.
A tornado.
Yeah, tornado. It was a pretty bad tornado though.
So when Zane brought this up though, I did the same thing. He said, your crossbows. I said, you go first. I want to hear your, because I know I'm always in the minority when it comes to crossbows. And
I feel like he shoots a crossbow or has.
Zane?
Maybe not. Well, we
I
grew
didn't
up.
ask
I
him
would
if he
say
did.
the way we grew up. So we were big in archery. So like ever since I was like 6 years old, I've shot in like the archery tournaments around here. We've traveled. My cousin, when he got like 19 or 20, he bought a pop-up system. We traveled and put it up. So I've shot bows, like compound bows, my whole life. And so has Zane, because I remember when we were real little, my granddad bought us like we went to the Pearson, the main Pearson like place when Pearson was cool, back way back to like the warehouse or whatever.
Got something
And
against Pearson.
we all got our own custom like Pearson built. And the reason I remember that is because Zane got his like odd, like he wanted his to be way different than everybody else's, and his was crooked, his handle. You know how the Hoyt's got a handle now?
Yeah,
like,
that's
kinda
like that. Yeah.
His was like the first bow I ever seen with they called it the Sidewinder. It was like the Pearson Sidewinder, and the handle was like crooked like this. Mm-hmm. But it really did. It felt good, like the way it would sit in your hand like that.
Rested good.
But Hoyt makes one now. It's like that.
Well, when he asked me, I let him give his spiel, and I said, well, we have a different opinion because I am okay with the crossbows. Like, I have hunted with a crossbow. And he was just like, okay.
One of those don't know what to say moments.
And I started giving my reasons why. And anyway, basically what it boils down to, the way I see it, is it's a tool that the state gives you.
Yeah.
If it's legal, do it. You know what I mean? Hold on. Let me finish, Mason. Let me finish. For me personally, it was the way I got into it is I had deer hunted with a rifle all my life. Mm-hmm. And when it got to the point, and I had let me back up.
I'll agree. There is a big learning curve with the bow.
Absolutely.
There's a learning curve.
My dad didn't believe in bow hunting really. So
Really?
It was
And
always
see, I didn't
more
grow up bow hunting.
Yeah.
When I was younger, like in high school, I think it was high school, I got a used bow that my dad bought for me, and my brother-in-law helped me set it up. And I took it hunting a few times, but I never killed anything with it. Well, except for a bobcat. Well,
That's pretty cool. That's harder than shooting a
Hey,
deer.
I was about to say,
Is
that's pretty good.
Well, hold on now. Hold on.
I mean, you should have hyped that up a little more.
Is it legal to shoot a bobcat?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I hope so.
well,
I mean,
I've shot plenty.
I'm going to smoke
been
him.
there,
If he
buddy.
comes by, I'm going to smoke him.
I mean, I've got videos
Getting
on my
headshot
phone of
points.
Micah's killed a couple with a rifle.
Well, I
It's
will
definitely
say
legal
I
to
was
kill it.
aiming for
Gotta
the
be.
shoulder, and I hit it in the eyeball. All right.
How you hit it?
Hey, speaking of eyeball, Clay Ashbury
Yeah.
shot a deer in the back of the head at like 90 yards one time with a bow.
Really?
You like right here, like perfect.
Yeah.
I have to ask him
That
about
just made me think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me show you the picture of it. It's pretty cool.
What was I saying?
You shot him in the eyeball.
Shot him in that ball.
Out of the pocket. Anyway,
But
I
you
used
didn't
that.
grow up with
Yeah, I used
crossbow?
that bow, hunted with it a few times, but I never killed a deer with it. And I really wasn't going hunting at the time consistent enough. It was kind of like it was a way to get me in the woods during archery season. But then once gun season came in,
Absolutely.
it stayed at home. And anyway, but I started hunting in areas that it was not safe to shoot a gun. And what can get me in the woods in those areas? And the logical step for me was a crossbow, because cost efficiency wise, I could buy a bow and arrows and release, and I could have $500-600 in it, or I could order this Barnett
Hey.
crossbow on Amazon for $300.
Yeah.
And it got me in
to
the
the door.
woods.
Yeah.
And anyway, and that was where I came from. And for a while, I never told anybody I was using a crossbow. But
Yeah.
now I was just like, screw this, or forget this.
Well,
And
You know, I
If it was anybody else, I'd probably hate on them.
well,
He hates on me, obviously.
You're not going to show. You're not. I mean,
But-
you can sugarcoat it any way you want.
now-
You still show crossbow.
but let me like say this too. I totally get where you're coming from, and like I definitely don't think all my life I should be shooting a crossbow because you do want to challenge yourself.
I can go along with when getting started out that way. Though.
Yeah.
I'll add that to my little small section of
and it really was
what's okay and what's
for
not.
me at the time. It really was a cost
Yeah,
efficient thing.
that's a good. That I can go along with that.
But I will say this also: the crossbow that I shot, I'm not shooting no
Yeah.
70, 80 yards.
You're shooting a lunker rod pretty much. I mean, you
Really, I'm not exaggerating here.
The thump comes way before the whack.
it's got the same recoil as a 30-06. You're shooting a 300 grain arrow. So.
It vibrates real hard on it when you pull the trigger.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what I was about to say. Like, it is so loud.
It's like touching an electric fence when you pull the trigger.
It is.
Shoot a potato gun.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is so loud. I would not shoot past probably
20
30 yards. 30 yards.
30 yards.
I would not shoot past 30 yards.
in there,
And I know that there are some crossbows that are a lot better than that can shoot out to probably 70, 80, 100 yards.
Yeah, no doubt.
And
About 100.
I'm not talking
I've
about one
seen
of those.
some like
Those
tack
Ravens.
drivers that far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not talking about one that can get out there like that.
Talon told me you shot a buck and you didn't tell him you shot it with a crossbow, and he was kind of caught off guard whenever he showed up and seen the crossbow.
so
That's just because he doesn't listen or he wasn't with him. I told you I shot it with a crossbow.
yeah, did you tell me when you called?
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me when you called.
Because I said, you're probably going to hate on me, but I shot it with a crossbow.
Either way, you said it caught him off guard, but
Yeah.
you probably would have caught me off guard too.
Well,
we had been
shooting. We had been shooting compound bows for a while.
Yeah.
And he had not gotten his new bow yet, which he stepped up to what he's got now.
What you got?
I bought the Bowtech Core SR.
Matthews. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that kind of person on the bows. A compound bow is a compound bow. They all do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'll agree on that. There's some that have better features, but
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, he but we had started shooting bows, so when he had killed one, I just thought, he killed one with his bow, and at the time he had a bear. So I thought, well, he killed one with his bow. That's great, and then he said he had killed it with his crossbow. And not that I have anything against crossbows, but it kind of caught me off guard. Like, I thought you had killed it with your compound bow.
No shame.
but-
if you want to go hunt with a crossbow,
Absolutely.
But he killed him. He killed him.
better not post it on Facebook. I'll come in the comments.
He killed him at
Blur it out.
20, 30, 25, 30 yards probably.
I think it was 25.
So if you'd have had your compound bow, you could have killed him. So you had a bow hunting setup, could have killed him with a compound bow, but you killed him with your crossbow. But, I mean, do I have anything against crossbows? If it gets you in the woods, I'm like you when you was talking to Zane. If it gets you in the woods to enjoy the woods, and that's what you got, and that's what you want to shoot, fine, shoot it.
Did it make you feel just as good when you shot him with that crossbow though? Did it did the same feeling?
I got just as excited.
That's
but now,
all that matters.
That's all that matters.
But now I will say
at the
too,
end of the
though,
day, I will agree with you. That's all that matters.
I do say
But walking
though,
out with that crossbow,
I will say
Leave
too,
it.
though,
sling over your
Leave
shoulder.
it is a little bit better though shooting it with a bow. It is a little bit better shooting it with a bow.
Yeah.
to me, anything to make it harder makes it better for
Yeah.
me. Like the feeling, or like
Yeah.
however hard I worked to kill that deer or turkey. Like on a turkey hunt, if I've walked, it just makes me feel better when I kill that bird.
Put
It's
in
one
work.
that just sat in my
Yeah.
camera.
And I can't remember if I said this or not, but and two, like I say, I wouldn't keep on shooting the crossbow. Like I'm not going to be.
Oh yeah, I
40,
Your
50
reason for the crossbow was a great reason.
And there
Valid-
was one
valid
other
reason.
reason why I said, and
You tore your rotator cuff.
no, no, I really do struggle seeing at night in like low light, and I'm not.
I can't see through my peep sight either half the time. That's probably why I don't kill
See,
big deer in my bow, because
I always hesitate
I've
telling
multiple
people that.
times.
I always hesitate telling people that because I don't want them to think that I'm hunting at night.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
But
It's just low light.
it's
I mean,
low
yeah.
light, and peep
I can
sight.
make out the deer, but when you look, that's another thing you can look into is your size of your peep sight.
Yeah.
So, the more accurate you want to be, the smaller your peep sight, of course. But the bigger your peep sight, the more light you're going to pick up.
Well, what I'm going to try this year
Kind of like a
is taking
scope,
the peep
one
sight
with
off.
a big old, the longer the end of the
Yeah.
scope, the more light you're picking up with the scope.
Yep.
Kind of like a peep sight, the bigger around it is.
Well, that's why
I mean,
this year,
I may have to upsize my peep sight. My vision's gotten worse.
just take it off. Just take it off.
I mean, I'm looking down the arrow at this point.
I'm guessing.
My dad, he has never used a peep sight. He always uses a kisser button or a nose button.
Yeah.
And he's never used a peep sight. And
It
that's what Taylor
works.
was going to say. He's trying that this year. And I think you said you grouped really good the other day.
A lot better than I thought I would. Hey, this is so this is kind of neither here nor there. But I took the peep sight off and started shooting. I was
done it
able to
yourself?
group. Well, hold on. What did I do? I got the string changed.
I was about to say, if you done it yourself, I mean, that's good work.
I got the
there.
string changed.
Taking a
and
peep sight off, that thing's in between the screen. Taking a peep sight off is good work. You got a bow press, I need to use it.
He does have one.
No, long story. We won't get into that. Had to get my strings replaced, and I just never got the peep sight installed. I did the setup myself, but I never took it.
What do you think about like colorful strings? Seeing people with colorful strings on their bows, like
I think
yellow.
I kind of like it.
I like the way it looks, but I haven't really had one, so I don't know if it's anything different in the woods.
Yeah,
I have neon green on mine.
I mean, I guess they say deer.
I have
don't
some
see
neon
color.
green stuff on mine.
Mine's red. All my accessories are red.
Mine's black.
Yeah. I don't think it matters.
He's hardcore.
His is mud stained.
I don't have a sight on my bow. I don't have a peep sight nor sight. I don't have nothing on it. I just bought it,
sticks his
didn't
two
sight it in,
fingers
shot
up.
it.
Hey, but what I was going to say, I said this is neither here nor there. Took the peep sight off, and I called him the other day. I've been wanting to do this because I got one of those. I don't know what the proper name is for them. Adjustable sights, one that you can slide.
That's what mine's a 1-pin like that. Is yours a 1-pin or a 3-pin roller?
So
It's a roller.
It's
Is it
like
a roller or is it
it's
a
got
slide?
2 pins on it, but it's the roller type. And anyway, I got a new arrow setup that I'm doing this year, and I was testing it out and trying to find a sight tape for it. And I wanted to go as far back as I possibly could. And I've been wanting to shoot at 100 yards just to
Does
see
your
if I
tape
could
go
do
to
it.
100?
It does.
My tape goes to 80, and I hate it. I just push it all the way down and aim high.
Mine goes all the way to 100, but there's like some other little marks, like the logo and stuff, that I feel like you could use as a guide.
If you get the ones with white further down the bottom, you can make your own mark for your.
Well, hey, the cool thing about this sight though is like it's the 2-pin, so it has
Stationary.
it has one is stationary.
So it's like you can set it at 20 yards, and it's always unless you roll your pin back. Either way,
Yeah,
both of them aren't right. If you roll your pin back, both of them move up. So they're technically neither one of them stationary. One of them's
see,
going
you
20
have-
yards further.
you have 2 pins and you have 2 little markers. So like
Yeah.
that top pin can be at the 60-yard marker. That second
Bottom
pin
will be however much further.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what I'm getting at is that I know a lot of times you have to worry about your sight bottoming out where your arrow is going to hit your sight, and you don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah, I hadn't had to worry about that yet.
Yeah.
And I pushed it down to 80 yards, and I feel like I got plenty of room.
Well, that was the first time I had shot that far back, and at 100 yards, I just see the arrow just go, and I thought, this is cool. Please hit the target. And then you hear it hit the target, like, that is awesome.
Shooting with like lighted knocks that far. I
Yeah.
like
That
that.
is
That's
cool,
pretty
too.
cool.
Well, I
Right
did that, too.
at dark.
Yep.
Like a tracer bullet.
Yeah.
It is cool.
I hadn't got into the roller sights yet. I'm still 20, 30, 40.
Mine's a 1-pin and it slides.
Yeah.
I want to get a 3-pin roller. Some of my buddies got a 3-pin roller, but a roller's where it's at.
I'm
I
still
love
with
it.
the old
Roller's where it's
5-pin
at. If you're gonna go slide, go with a roller.
Yeah.
Because mine's just a HHA slider.
Yeah.
It's 1-pin slider, and the roller I feel like is better. I feel like my slider won't lock sometimes. I feel like maybe I bump it right before I draw. If something happens,
Yeah.
it just scares me a lot. And the roller has, with a 3-pin, if you got it set 20, 30, 40, or
Right.
whatever, you're pretty much good. The
Yeah.
roller's just for fun in the yard. You know
That's
what I mean?
what I was gonna.
But
That's
my
what I was gonna
1-pin,
do.
if I got it on 20 and he comes out at 30, I have to adjust it.
Adjust it. Yep.
It's not good.
That's what I've been looking at is 3 pins, and I'm gonna just set it up like my bow is now, 20, 30, 40, and then I'll have the roller just
to
in
have
case,
fun,
or
you know?
either get out in the yard and have fun shooting with everybody else at
Well, see,
however
that's the
many
awesome
yards I
thing
wanna go
about the
back.
2 pins on there. You could have your first one set at 20 and then adjust it where
20,
that second
40,
was at
wherever,
30.
yeah.
And
Roll it after that.
My thing is the clutter thing. You know, it's already, like he was saying, low light, looking through your peep sight. Well, you look through there and, you know, you got 5 pins that are relatively close to each other. Well, that takes up the whole deer right there. So if you have one pin, you know, that you can adjust and you just see that
It don't help me.
You just see that little dot, you know.
I
For
don't
me,
see nothing. I just see black when I look through my peep sight.
me,
I'll
that-
look outside and see perfectly fine. I look through a peep sight. I'm like, God.
yes.
for me, that just clears up
Yeah.
the clutter a little
And they
bit.
make some now. I believe it's the Fast Spot Hog Fast Eddie. I think Spot Hog Fast Eddie.
Probably. Is that the one that
it's got
ranges
the-
itself?
It's got the triple stack.
That's Garmin.
So they're not coming out from the side. They're actually stacked. So if you do,
Oh,
Sound
yeah.
like
I know
it's
what you're talking
fine.
about. 1, 2,
Yeah,
3. Yeah,
there's
on
triple,
top of each other.
triple stacked or double stacked or single pin, and they're on top of each other, which I like better because you can find the deer and then you can come down to where you need to or go up to where you need to. But if they're coming out from the side,
Yeah, it
you
really-
cover. If he's going this way, you cover half that deer's body, and I don't really know.
Absolutely.
But the lower light, though, would you still be able to pick out which one if they're stacked, or would they all look like one? You know
different
what I mean?
color.
Even
Wow.
if they're a different color, you know what I mean?
Don't be colorblind.
I can see.
I don't know.
I mean, I've never had a problem.
But that's the good thing about having 3 to me is if you are looking at the deer, you can kind of tell a gap
Right.
between the deer's body and the 3.
Yeah.
But if they're in a line, it may look like one line.
Right. Yeah.
But that's for me because
Yeah.
I'm blind at dark.
I've never had a problem. My dad's always shot without a peep sight, but I've never had a problem looking through a peep sight. And I may, as I get
I have
older,
a really
I
small
may.
peep sight though
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
I need to get a bigger one.
I've never had that problem. So far, I hadn't had that problem, but I think I'd like the triple stack. I think that's what I would go with if I got one. But
You got to get one so
We'll
that we
see.
can sight it in.
yeah,
We still got to do
It's
your arrows
fun.
too.
It's fun doing the sight tape. I enjoy it.
I love tinkering
I
with
enjoyed
archery
it.
stuff.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love it.
Obviously, that's when I've done it for a while, and my older cousins, like Zane's older brother, is like Bowtech. Like,
Yeah.
he's the guy for that. So
They're
I
just so
used to-
easy to do on your own.
and you wouldn't think that like looking at it. You like look at it something, and all you do you watch a YouTube video, and you're like, dang, it's that easy. You know?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, I enjoyed having you guys on. This has
Oh,
been
yeah, I
fun.
enjoyed it.
We got to get you back on so that y'all can talk some turkey hunting. We didn't get to do.
We have some turkey talk. That's for sure.
We didn't get to do that.
Taylor will enjoy that one.
I might just let Jantzen and Talon do that.
Hey, there is still plenty of stuff that we could still be sitting here talking about
Yeah.
that we
Hey,
talked
me,
about
hey,
today.
me and you
too.
can hang out and talk about crossbows.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about crossbows.
We'll have
and
2 groups.
talk about crossbows and Sitka. So
Sounds good.
Yeah, crossbows and Justin's.
Yeah.
Y'all gotta wear y'all's McGillen overalls and Justin's to talk.
Well, I enjoyed it. Let's have you guys back on sometime soon because this
Oh,
was
yeah.
fun. Time flew by
I
on
didn't-
this one.
It's a long one.
Yes. Oh, and if you've made it this far on the podcast, you've probably noticed that some cameras have died. Well, I'll see what I can do about all that.
It's Parker's fault for telling y'all all the sick every detail you wanted to
We
know.
Maybe
went
that's for
through
a story,
every
you're
weather
gonna get a
scenario that you could ever possibly think of.
All the way down to the person who sewed the cloth.
hey, I tell you one thing. You got to be that person that can sell a coffin to make you want to get into it that day. So
I'm ready. I'm going to buy it tonight. Anyway, we enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed listening or watching, whatever platform you're using. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff for us, and share it with a buddy. And that's it. All right.